I just wake up in the morning and I yell a lot, even though it's way too early. It's fun though. Wake up, wake up, wake up!
What is up? What is up? Let's go. I know I'm not the only one awake because my guy Carlos is already up and he is commenting in the live chat as usual. Carlos, by the way, I got your email. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for sending that. All right. Welcome to the Way Too Early for a Friday morning show. If this is your first time, do me a favor, hit that like button and hit subscribe. Help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers. We are at 34,400, I think, so far. So we really love to hit 35,000 before the end of next week. I know we can do it, but like I said, hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you've already subscribed, share the video with somebody else who you think might enjoy this show. We got a packed show for you guys as usual. Got some drama in the home gym community. We're going to talk about it a little bit. And we're going to be kicking things off with my guy, Matthew Porter from Porter Phys Ed. He is going to be joining us to talk about collaborating with brands, to talk about his innovations to home gym products. And I'm looking forward to talking to him. Then we're going to do news and other things at 7:05 after I do the shout out to the Central Time Zone. Ashton from Freedom Fitness was scheduled to come on, but there's he's got a prior commitment. Basically, he's not able to make it, so he's going to come on next week. So he has an announcement. Well, he and I have an announcement, and that announcement is just going to be postponed till next Friday. So just you got seven days. Okay, just 7 days, 7 whole days. All right. But we're not going to make you wait any longer than 7 days. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do news and other things and Recliner of Rage at 7:05. And then at 8:05, I'm going to be joined by fitness icon. And I mean, legitimately, he's a fitness icon, Clark Bartram. When I say fitness icon, I mean, look at this dude on the magazine cover. That's him right there. Okay. But more than that, the dude is Batman, okay? Y'all probably don't know this, but that's Clark right there. He played Batman in 2003 and in 2004. So I am looking forward to having a conversation with him, talking about longevity, talking about his latest project, which is very, very important. So we're going to be having a good time there. And the show is so packed. In fact, I'm not sure that we're going to have time to get to everything. So, we're just going to be, as usual, Semper Gumby. It is Semper Gumby. So let's see here. I'm not sure, Carlos, why you have a question mark after good morning. It is morning. Is it good? I mean, I don't. Yeah, good morning. Are you asking me if it's a good morning? Yeah, it's a good morning. We're awake. We're awake. We're live, man. That's always a good morning. All right, let's check out who else is in the live chat. My guy Eric Eccles. Eric wakes up at the crack of dawn. Eric is responsible for waking up the sun. Okay. He gets up super early. So says, good morning, gentlemen. Good having you, my man. All right. Like I said, we're going to be jumping headfirst into this thing. I am just waiting for Matthew to log in. And then as soon as he logs in, I'm going to get him cranked up. Let's see here. My guy, Eric Carpenter, Carp's Gym. What's up, Carp? Man, there's drama in the land. There's drama in the land. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna shoot Matthew a quick message just to make sure that he's not having any problems. But yeah, I gave him all the information, I believe. So my man Jonathan, No Fake Channel checking in. I'm working on that project for you, my man. I'm gonna get it to you next week. I promise. Jonathan is my guy. You guys, everybody go subscribe to the No Fake 24/7 channel. Yeah. Go ahead and just, I don't want you to leave this live stream, but as soon as this is over, go subscribe. Or open up another tab if you're watching on your computer. Or if you're watching on replay, immediately go subscribe and then come back here. All right. It's an awesome channel. Jonathan's got some of the best editing, got some funny edits, funny memes, and everything else. So we're just waiting for Matthew Porter to jump in here. And so I'm sending a message right now. Hey, are you good? There we go. Sometimes we have oh, look at that. Bam. The bearded one has arrived. All right, let's see here. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna dive. Like I said, we got a packed show. So I'm gonna go ahead and add Matthew right now. So everybody, show your love. My first guest. Matthew Porter.
What's up, man? Let me turn you.
There you
better?
go. Look at that, yeah. Heck yeah. Look at that. You did it. I didn't even have to ask you to do it. Like I'm talking about. We're already in sync. Because that's the first thing I thought. So, oh, come on, Matthew. All right. Let's see here. For some strange reason, Matt Welch says the king is here. So, okay. Matthew, you know what? I'm going to be nice today. Matthew Porter, you're aware of Matt Welch's shenanigans on the show and in the live chat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you know what? He sent me, he's one of the people that sent me, he's got a banner and he sent me a review of the banner, which I would like for everybody, if you're watching this, if you have a Garage and Life banner, do me a favor and DM me if you're willing to send me a review of the banner. We're going to talk about the materials of the banner only. I just working on something and I need you guys' help and your feedback. And Matt was willing to do that. So he gets a pass today. All right. So anyway, Joyce Vaudrey is here. Always good having you, Joyce. All right, Matthew, did you get a chance to check out the questions I sent you?
Yeah, I looked over the questions.
Okay, all right. Sometimes it's cool. It's like, well, if not, it's gonna be like a box of chocolates. Let's just dive right in.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
didn't get too much time to look over too much of them, but with all the other drama going on.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's. You know what? The thing about it's interesting that I had you scheduled to come on before all that stuff that happened because like you are the theme for collaboration and how things can be done well between a small creator and a big brand. So before we go too far down this rabbit hole, I know most of the people who are watching this they already know who you are. They know you from the Home Gym Discord, they know you from Instagram, or maybe they bought something from you, or they watched my interview with you from Home Gym Con. However, most people know you, but somebody won't. So let's go ahead and the scenario I painted for you is I want an elevator speech, but I like to add drama. So let's say you're on the elevator and you're stuck, and instead of panicking, you guys decide you're going to just go around and introduce yourselves because you know help's coming. So what would you say when it's your turn to tell people what Porter Phys Ed is? Go ahead, you got the stage.
I mean, if I'm trapped in an elevator, though, I'm going to be the one that's going to actually like open the elevator and get us out because I'm a Florida man. So I'm going to go ahead and just be crazy to pry the door open somehow. But with all joking aside.
So then what will happen is you run off because you saved everybody. And they say, well, who was that guy? Okay, so now what do you want them to say about you when they say, well, who was that guy? That bearded hero.
So my name is Matthew Porter. I'm a PE teacher. I'm going into my 10th year teaching. I've been married to my beautiful wife for 7 years now. And she allows me to do all my shenanigans with all my DIY stuff and all of my tools and everything like that. I'm like love tinkering, love doing things with my hands, love making things. There's basically no problem I don't think I can solve. I will just keep trying until I figure out some way to solve it.
Okay. So specifically, you have a lot of products that, from what I can tell, most of your stuff is with bells of steel. And I think it's interesting. It's interesting how this interview came about because Just a little bit of background for everybody. So I did a review of a product from a brand called Eon Fit Omni, and it was a standalone functional trainer, or it is a standalone functional trainer. And 50 Cal Fitness, who I had the privilege of meeting at Home Gym Con, posted a comment. He was one of the first comments, and he posted it. He said that the design was owed a lot, that it borrowed heavily from your modifications on the Bells of Steel cable tower. So, two questions. One, how gratifying is it that the home gym community is like immediately ready to come to your defense? All right. I wasn't even attacking you, but, and I didn't take it that way. I took it as him saying, hey, let's not forget the originator of like the person who came up with this, which is fine by me. I'm all about that. I don't even remember what I responded, but it was something like, yeah, I agree, something like that. Um, but number one, how gratifying is it that people in the home gym community are so willing to support you, come to your defense? And number two, is being copied like that uh, part of what spurred you to say, you know what, I need to get the ball rolling, maybe reach out to Bells of Steel, see if we can, make something happen with this?
So, I mean, first off, I mean, Derek Fidical Fitness, he's, I mean, awesome. He's one that has been a supporter for me like from the beginning. And it's very humbling that just people that, I mean, random people on the internet, they'll go out of their way to make sure that they like defend and help others. And you kind of see that with just, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but the whole situation that's going on with PRx. People will go out of their way to help those that they don't know. And the copying with the OmniFit, or I don't know the brand, it's one where like they didn't like direct copy, so it's not one that's like completely like that. So I'm not too concerned with that, but it is one where I already was talking with Bells, and we already were working together trying to sort things out. And that's been quite a long process, but we're trying to kind of iron out all the kinks to make sure once they release their version of the stuff, everything's working and they can get the mass production up and going. And it's one where like if somebody wants that the other tower too, I think it has some unique benefits that the Bells doesn't, and they're vice versa. They have there's some give and take between both of them.
So, first of all, I'm tired of y'all coming on here with your beards, making me look bad. So, I'm an American, not an Americant. So I find solutions. Okay. So you're not about to just I got a beard. I'm gonna like think about stuff and stroke my beard. Actually, this is pretty hot, so I don't know how long I'm gonna keep this on. But
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, my face is already. I'm probably sweating right now. So the thing is, as you were saying, and you told me the other day when we were talking that you're actually carving out a niche with a bunch of companies, like problem solving. Like that's how you approach it. Like, hey, this is a good product, but I noticed this thing. Okay, and so I know you got like NDAs and things like that, but just unpack that a little bit as much as you're able.
So kind of what I'm kind of pivoting towards a little bit, instead of being the one that's doing completely all the production and the mass producing of trying to mass produce everything. And so I'm doing everything from start to finish with all of my Bell's products at the current moment. So my goal is to switch over and do like quick turnaround prototyping for companies. So if I have an idea, I'll kind of bounce it over to them, and then we'll come up to some sort of agreement where we can work together and kind of work on those specific things that they want or what I'm suggesting. And I did speak to a couple. I can talk on like a couple of the companies. So like I'm currently working with Fringe Sport, and then I have another project with Bells I'm working with as well. I can't tell any like specifics of those things, and there's a few others as well. But they basically will come up with the project, we'll come up with the contract, go through the NDA, and then we're going to, I'll kind of build those things because I have all the tools at my disposal that I can make all the modifications that are needed. And then either I will send videos or pictures of the item, or send the item specifically back over to that company, and then they can send it to their factories, then make some small changes to make it where it's mass producible, and kind of go so they can just get things get the ball rolling a little quicker, especially for a lot of the companies that don't have their production in-house.
Okay, so is that in a nutshell how things are going with you and Bells of Steel? I love that he's trying to have like a straight face and look serious while I'm talking to him too. That's the only reason I still have this on. He's like, I'm trying to hold it together.
Hey, I teach K through 5 elementary school. They do some crazy things. Like, you got nothing. You got to up your game now.
Oh, I gotta like pick my nose or something. Okay, yeah, well that's not happening. Actually, the reality is this probably ain't gonna last another 30 seconds. My face is sweating. This is horrible. My daughter picked this out for me on Amazon, and I was like, okay, she wanted me to get the redheaded one or the blonde one. I was like, I had to put my foot down. So we're essentially we went with this. So this is gonna this ain't gonna last too much longer. I'm glad y'all enjoying this in the chat. Everybody's like, I look like a Rasta lumberjack. That's hilarious. And now and then of course there's Matt Welch, who thinks that it's a conspiracy. So that's my real hair. I've been wearing a ball cap and hiding my beard. That's the quote of the day.
Yeah, you've been it's been a filter every single time. So this is the non-filter.
This is finally me. Yeah, the real me. Oh God. Hey, my guy Jay, what's up? Jay Benoit. So yeah, I can't do the thing. Hold on a second. Like, it's literally hot. All right. Anyway, you do anything for views, right? So what you're saying about like the general process for the NDA, not for the NDAs, the general process for how you're working with the companies like Fringe and whatever, is that essentially how the process is going with you and Bells of Steel? It's like, hey, like I was tinkering with, you start tinkering with their product and you're like, hey, you know what? I got an idea. And then once you guys are actually working together, then is it kind of like a back and forth sort of situation?
It's still kind of early in the process with that, so I'm still kind of sorting out how that's gonna kind of play out.
Actually, let me ask you this, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but you saw him at Home Gym Con, so obviously you had time standing in their booth with your product. Obviously, conversations are going to happen. Did those conversations, without revealing anything you're not supposed to, did those conversations kind of form how the process is going to be in a little bit? Like, like there's like, oh, you know what, we were thinking this, but now we see it in person, now we're thinking this, and then you're like, oh, okay, based upon what you're saying, that kind of thing. Is it kind of like that?
To some degree. So like the Bell's Tower stuff, that was one where like I wasn't working with them at all. It was just I wanted those items. I couldn't afford what I wanted, so I just made what I wanted the tower to be. And then that was a kind of a back and forth. Kyle Kaizen, he was kind of the first one to kind of like reshared some of my stuff, and then that got the ball rolling a little bit. Where I reached out to Bells. There was like a back and forth. And it was quite a long process. Not really in the grand scheme of things, but it felt like it was a very long process. And it seemed like it was kind of stalling out a little bit. And that's when I just decided, I was like, okay, I'll just do it myself. Kind of made my company and started selling them on my own. And then after I started doing that, then they reached back out to me, and then we had another discussion, and then there's been multiple discussions back and forth. And then I sent over my items over to them, and then they sent me back like kind of their versions. And then there's been like, oh, I like this, I don't like this, because they are able to do some things that I can't. So they have some better processes, and they're able to make it a little bit. Just a little bit more streamlined. And then once we're still in that same process of like sorting all that out. And it's like function wise, they're going to end up being, the goal is they're going to end up being the same. The bells one would just hopefully be a little bit more, like a little bit more polished look versus mine is a little bit more crude. So function wise, they're going to be identical. And then as far as the new stuff going on, some companies have reached out to me. I've reached out to other companies. It kind of depends on which how that's been working. And then even like very like small creators, even just like people in the home gym, like some just people that know me on Instagram, they'll message me and they'll have an idea, and I'm like, oh, I'll see if I can make it for you, and then we'll work together. And I'm actually about to send out this week 2 items to people that it was their idea, so I'm sending out to them, and then once they get it, they'll see if they like it, and then they'll either pitch it to a company or they'll just kind of show it on online. It's just one. This is not my idea for those. It's just I have the tools, and I was like, I can help you out.
Yeah, you can make it.
Yeah, so I'll make it for you. You just kind of give me what you want. As far as the some of the other ones, I'll use the fringe one, for example. Like they're sending me an item, and then I'm going to be kind of making some things for that, and then I'll go back and there'll be a back and forth, and then there'll be some of they'll just be send me like, here's the schematics of this thing. It's like, this is what we want to be able to do, and then from there I'll make it and kind of pitch it back to them. So
Right.
it's still early in the process, so we're still kind of working all of that out still.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. So you make a thing, right? And your home gym consists of essentially you, right? So the lifting population in your home gym is essentially you. Maybe you get a friend to come over or your wife or something like that, but it's typically it's you. So that means that whatever you make, in order for it to, you kind of make it to your dimensions, your leverages, your limb lengths, all that kind of stuff. Whereas they make stuff, any brand is going to make stuff based upon what will fit the largest number of people, right? Which is why sometimes you see something online, and this is a big reason why I'm a fan of Home Gym Con. You see something online, it looks like a great idea, but you don't know how big the person is in the picture. You don't know how tall they are. I mean, you don't know, right? You don't know until you actually get the thing to your house whether it'll fit you. So to me, in terms of the collaboration between you and a brand, it's like they can say, all right, this seems like a great concept, but what we've run into in the past with something similar, or maybe nothing similar. Let's just ask you this question: would it work for a person in this situation? How broad strokes? How is it too niche? You know what I mean? Like, for example, something like lever arms. It would be very easy for lever arms, if you make them, to not fit certain body types unless you make them adjustable. You know what I'm saying? Because, okay, like the handle might be too far down for some people. It's got to be adjustable to fit everybody. There's that kind of stuff that I'm talking about. So I love that, because to me it's like you're going a step beyond what reviewers like me and other people who review stuff do, which is essentially we get the thing and we see if we can break it. I mean, that's really what I do with a review. I'm like, I mean, I don't do like outlandish stuff, but I'm like, I'm gonna use it. All I do, and I wants that the esoteric information about my review process. I get the thing, I put it together if necessary, and then I use it the way it's supposed to be used, and as many different ways as I can. And I just make a note of any issues I have or stuff that I like, and bam, that's my review. There's no, that's really all there is to it. Sorry, it's not that complex. I'm not, like I don't have like a lab, like what's his name, like Kurt stands for. I don't have like this little testing lab with all this equipment. I don't do that. But you're taking a step further, because you're getting the thing, and you're like, oh, this is a problem. I'm not just gonna tell you there's a problem. I'm gonna fix it. Now you tell me if you think this solution would work for other people. I just think that's exciting. Um, you said that it was taking a long time. Give me like a rough, you know, like idea. Like, was it 6 months? Was it 3 months? When you said that it was taking, it seemed like it was taking a long time, and then everything stalled. What do you mean? What's a long time?
Um, Probably 3 or 4 months of just we started talking, and then some other things were happening in the background that I didn't know about, and it was just like I got put to the back burner, and
Mm.
then once that happened, it was just I'm like with that I'm like I don't know what's going on, so I'm like people keep asking me about these things, and I had people constantly asking me like, oh, can I buy this from you? Can I buy this from you? Will you make this for me? And then eventually I'm like, fine, I'll do it. I'll make it. I'll start shipping them out, and then slowly realize that I need the scaling of how many people wanted this
Mm.
was a lot more than I anticipated. Um, and then I had to figure out like lead times and
It's not the
um,
worst problem to have. I'm too popular. I
well,
guess.
people would share stuff because I said I'm slowly getting onto Discord and those things, and like I, but like I've just started like just searching my name into like Reddit and then onto Discord, and I'm like, oh, there's these threads, and I'm like, I had no idea people were talking about my stuff, and I'm like,
That's
and I'm trying to
hilarious.
like where are these orders coming from? Because I have started asking like where are they finding me? And I'm assuming that it's going to be on from Instagram because that's really the only place that I'm really the most active is going to be on Instagram.
Mm.
And like not all, I mean most people are still Instagram, but there was a larger, much larger pool of people that were like just web-based searches and just they'll just from Reddit or Discord that were finding me, and I'm like I had no clue.
I mean, that's cool because that organic search is going to be your best, especially with what's going on right now with ChatGPT and the war between ChatGPT and Google. So Reddit responses are actually going to rank a little bit higher. So the fact that you're being talked about on Reddit and in the Home Gym Discord, to me, is a good thing. I'm assuming it's leading to a lot of traffic for your website. Um, Question I have though is, uh, do you make stuff only? Obviously, you've got Bells of Steel stuff, but do you make the stuff you already have now? Is it compatible with brands other than Bells of Steel, or is it only compatible with like Bells of Steel?
So the specific things I have right now, the way that the Bell's Tower is made has different that has the holes you can mount things to. A lot of the other brands have similar towers that are like it, don't have those same mounting holes. But like your tower, the one you have, they actually use the same tube size, but your center hole is smaller. So
Right.
if I have something that would connect by the holes on either side, that would work. Like my leg holder would mesh with yours, but you already have that comes with that.
Right, right,
But things like that where they'll like those would work, but like a Titan tower, they don't have the holes. I can make custom stuff, and a lot of people have messaged me like, "Oh, this is what I want. This is what I have." And then I can make that as well. Like everything that I make is all made to order. I don't have like a extra stock of anything. So I get an order, then I'll make the
right.
item from. I just don't have a place to store inventory.
Well, and then again, that's where someone like Bells of Steel or Fringe or whoever, that's where they come in because they've got space to store inventory for your
Mhm.
ideas. When you first started tinkering with stuff, well, not when you first started tinkering with it, but when you started getting requests to sell it, um, I know that you kind of try to make sure that you don't step on toes in terms of um, design, right? Because there was something you were talking to me about on Instagram in the DMs, and you said, "Well, I don't want to step on their toes as far as the design for this product, right?" So, how tough is it though to avoid any pitfalls, because they're out there and you got companies that will come after you. One of them is, well, one's really big, starts with an R, rhymes with Og, and they will come after you if they feel like you've infringed on them. We already know what the deal is. We're going to be talking about the PRx situation after this conversation I'm having with you right now. So how did you navigate that? Like, to not shackle your creativity, but at the same time avoid doing anything that would infringe on anybody's intellectual property.
So I mean, you try to do your best with those things. There's so many different products, so like sometimes like that might happen. And like if I get a letter from a company, like usually they will send a letter, a cease and desist letter, before they'll like take legal ramifications. And then it's one of like if that happens, then I adjust and pivot. But it's one of the I'm just trying to solve people's problems that people are having in their home gym. These are the problems that I was having with the cable tower. I actually bought the cable tower in mind to do some of these modifications because of the way that it was designed, the way the holes were. And then if somebody has like, they want to make this specific thing, if it's a one-off, I may just make the one, and then I'm not going to post, I'm not going to advertise it. And I'll even tell the person like, here's just one thing, because here's your specific item, but I don't want you to advertise anything. Like here's your piece. Because a lot of times what would end up happening is they have a different company's rack than the other company that has the thing that just have the patent. They aren't compatible to one another, just the whole spacing. So it's like, here's your thing that'll work for you. Because I do want to make sure my whole goal, and this is kind of why I became a PE teacher, is I want people to be active for their entire life. And if you're a kid, that's going to be more of just the play. If you're an adult, like you're going to need some resistance equipment, you're going to need some cardio equipment. It's like, if I can kind of ease the gap and make it where people can it's easier for you to get out there and you to be active. Like that's my goal. My goal is just to try to help people and make sure people are able to be as healthy as possible.
Let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, hey, everybody, go ahead and follow Matthew on Instagram. You said that's your primary place that people can find you, right? Because I want, if somebody wants to buy something from you, or even if a brand wants to reach out to you, I'm assuming that's the best place. So everybody go ahead and check out @Porter_Phys on Instagram. I got it going across the bottom here. So you guys make sure you check that out. And as well, I want you to visit porterpef.com. You guys can see Matthew's products. He's got a ton of stuff here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull it up right now because I want to show some of the things you have on your site. All right. Okay. So that's the belt squat attachment you have. And I mean, all this stuff says sold out. I'm assuming it's because it's made to order.
So the belt squat one, it just it's one where it takes me a little longer to make them. So once I have a couple orders that have been placed for the belt squat, I'll put it out of stock, and then I will once I've get caught up with those, then I will reopen it again. The ones that are a little faster for me to be able to do are like the fly arms or the lat attachment.
Okay, perfect. And then like this one to me is a legendary one because for the longest time, man, for the longest time you get these lat pull down, what you call it, like the independent pulleys, right? You get them and you can only put so much weight on them before they start to pull you up off the ground. Because first of all, a lot of times you're sitting on the ground, and then they'll start to pull you up off the ground, so you couldn't go super heavy. And so I was really excited when I started seeing leg holder attachments like that to help hold you down. Because I mean, I even reached out to some brands and I said, hey, do you have anything to whatever? And they're like, oh, well, I remember one brand, I'm not going to say their name, but they said, oh, yeah, all you got to do is put a barbell across your lap. I'm like, that's your solution. That's your solution. Okay. Yeah. All right. Like I couldn't come up with that on my own. Okay.
Yeah, very comfortable solution.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah. So that was frustrating to me. Would you say that what you started doing in terms of making all this stuff was kind of born out of frustration. Like, hey, nobody else is going to do it, so I might as well do it myself.
Definitely some of that. I mean, as being a teacher, like the cost of just getting the machines that I would want, like ideally, like what I would want would be
Well, how long have
something.
you been a home gym owner? Let's go with that.
It's it's been quite a while. So 2015.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I'm almost 10 years getting there.
Okay. All right, so yeah, so I just asked that because a lot of people who jumped in on lockdown, they're like, well, we can't find anything. I'm like, because you're looking at the same time as everybody else. But yeah, okay, you obviously were well before that. Okay, go ahead, continue. I cut you off.
Yeah, it was just a lot of my issue more of instead of like not being able to find the stuff, it's like I could find the stuff, but being a teacher, like I can't afford the things that I would want. And it's either like, oh, I'm gonna save it for multiple years. And then my kind of solution that I come up with was my brother had a welder. This was back in 2017. And then he had a welder, and I was like, and he wasn't using it. I asked him if I could borrow it, and I told him I would just borrow it for like 2 weeks. I had a small little project I wanted to do, and then I kept it for 8 months, and then it was just practice, just practicing over and over and over again, and then kept trying different things, kept just just I mean gluing metal together basically, and then kept making
I
more.
I don't really like the way you said glue. Let's not say glue. We go back to weld.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
hot gluing metal together. That's
Oh
all it
yeah.
is.
Mental note, don't shop with it. Nah. So this actually got a comment here. Jay Scale says Rep Fitness said they're coming out with a Smith machine attachment for their racks. And our guy Carp chimes in. He says Smith machines are basically just a new thing coming back around. Before you know it, every company will have one. Like just about every company now has a rack-mounted functional trainer. As a fabricator, how does that, when you see stuff like that, does that kind of like get the creative juices going? You like, oh, okay, more stuff to play with, or especially given that companies are reaching out to you now for help with stuff, are you like, oh, cool, this is more opportunities? Because I have to imagine that you have to already be kind of thinking about it when they reach out to you, so you can say, yeah, I got an idea for how to do that. You know what I mean? Whereas if they just catch you completely off guard, you're like, man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So does that kind of stuff, like the Smith machine thing, or do you already have like ideas percolating in your head for ways to modify them to make them more user friendly for us?
yeah. I also have like I have other ideas. So like, besides just being and doing the quick turnaround prototyping, I do have my like more of just individual ideas that I have that I'm going to pitch and do. The goal would be there would be like the more like licensing deals. And those are when you see things that are popping up around the home, like everything kind of has its like waves. So like right now, the wave is all of these cable towers, and then the next wave is it's already coming. It's like the Smith machine wave is coming, and then kind of see like where the next wave is going to end up going. Um,
Okay.
and it's just, like, one's like I just keep when I have an idea, I'll try to sketch it down, put it pen to paper, just so I have that idea documented, and then try to write down all the things I think it potentially could do, and then I might revisit it. It may just be written down, and I don't ever revisit it again, just because the way that the market is might not have it where that would be the time for that piece to kind of come up, or somebody else. It's like sometimes people like you have an idea and another company has the same idea, and it just they kind of like are convergent, and they're not nobody's copying anybody. They just pop up to one another on one another, and it just if they have a cheaper solution or a faster solution, it's one they're it just might not have been the time for me, and they just were able to be a little faster. It's just one where like I just try to document everything I can do, and then when I have time. So right now, spare time is hard to come by, even with my summer. Um, just trying to get those ideas out and trying to share them with talk to other companies to try to get those seeing if they're interested in them. And if they're not interested in them, I might just do the same thing I did with the Bell's Tower and just be like, I'll just sell it myself.
All right, we're gonna pause right there and shout out to 50 Cal Fitness. I mentioned them in the beginning by how they jumped to your defense, and I say it was really awesome meeting you guys at Home Gym Con. Speaking of Home Gym Con, you weren't a vendor there, but you were with Bells of Steel. You kind of like almost like a hybrid role, vendor and attendee, right? So what was the biggest? Yeah, I know Jake's gonna watch this because I'm gonna send him the link and ask him to. I don't mind begging people to watch my videos. But if you were gonna, what would be like the biggest bit of feedback you could give to Jake from that dual perspective, which is unique? There weren't many people who were there as a vendor and as an attendee. So what would be feedback to him?
The main thing would just be like the competition links, and then like where the competitions were in regard to the companies that were like right on top of them. Like being with Bell's, granted that was its own situation, that wasn't anyone's necessarily fault. It just they left and then they came back into the home gym con. So their place in
They had stuff going on.
Yeah, their place in the convention was like right on top of the strongman competition and the grip competition. So a lot of people like going around, like people that were there, they didn't get to Bells, or they did get to Bells, but it was when like it was so loud. It's like that it wasn't, people weren't able to, or didn't really want to stay there that much because it just of where the competitions were. I think that from what I'm hearing, that's that's already been trying to be solved. But overall, like the event was fantastic. I mean, like with anyone, you go to something you really enjoy, you wish you had more time there. So having a third day would be nice, but it's like, I understand why that 2 days still might be the best one, just because that is a lot of stuff to get there and back. So that would kind of what I would, my feedback for Jake, but overall, I think it was a fantastic event. I'll kind of speak on this as well. This is not what you asked, but my situation of getting to Home Gym Con was also a little bit unique.
A marathon. 17 hours is no joke.
Well, there was a hiccup beforehand. So they had so Bell's had their versions of my stuff, the original prototypes that they were still working on, but they were just going to have them as display pieces. They wouldn't have been functional, but they were things that the goal was people could see them and give some feedback on them. And I found out on the I think it was Tuesday night beforehand that they were having trouble figuring out what those were, and they couldn't find them. And then and I'm like, one of my reasons I was excited to go was I'm like, okay, people are going to get to see kind of where my stuff is going, how that's going to work. And I was planning to fly. And then speaking with Kayvon, we kind of came up with a plan. I'm like, all right, I'm going to quickly make a set of these. And then once I made them, I was able to move my flight to a different time, or not different time, but a different trip. And then as fast as possible, I could do is just get the things made, load them up in my truck. And then I actually drove to Wednesday. I drove to Charlotte, picked up my business partner, my buddy, it's over there. And then on Thursday, we drove from Charlotte to Friendship, Indiana. And it's about 8.5 hours for each of those legs of the trip.
Yeah.
But it's fast, basically make it as fast as possible, get them made, try to make them still look good. And I mean, getting them painted and all that, there's like, I'm not gonna be able to do my normal painting. It's just like, I just gotta throw a can of spray paint on these and just get them going. Hopefully they look fine and hopefully they don't get scratched up, because that's not gonna be anything strong. Get them in the car and then drive them all down there, which actually turned into a very good thing, because I ended up bringing home like a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a whirlwind of a few days.
Oh yeah, I remember when you were like, you had a 17-hour drive home. I said, "What?" And then you told me where you were from, and I said, "Oh God." So yeah, shout out to you for being there. It's actually, I would say, it was really cool meeting you in person. That to me is the biggest value for Home Gym Con. Is that's where I get to create relationships, so I can do things like this. It's a whole lot easier to hit somebody up and say, "Hey, I want you to come on the show," if we've met in person, as opposed to just Instagram DMs or whatever. That's a little bit plastic. You know what I mean? Because then the person still doesn't know if they can trust you. They don't really know the vibe and all that. Let's jump into some of the comments in here. First thing that jumps out to me is Matt Welch is going to be building something. He said he's got an idea for a customization that would enable him to do leg press in his rack in his shed. All right. Now
Okay,
Madden,
go for it.
I think Matt and his dad built that shed, so he's got some skills. But the rest of the comment doesn't make me feel like I don't have a warm and fuzzies. I need 2 bars, a scaffold, and 2 U-bolts. I don't feel like that's enough material. I feel like there's something missing.
Dude, don't die.
You know, like when you look at that, you're like, okay, so these are the plans. I need 2 bars, a scaffold board, and 2 U-bolts. You know what? If you're dying, hit record on the camera first. All right. I mean, we gotta warn others. We gotta learn from your example. That's what it is, definitely. Um, Jared says better start patenting stuff, and we pretty much know what that's referring to. Let's see here. Said Derek from 50 Cal. He needs to be a guest on here. That's right. Let me ask you. Okay, so it looks like we got a question about it. Yes, this refers back to what you said about things going in waves. I do remember when everybody had to have a glued ham developer, or it wasn't a home gym, which is funny because you get people buy stuff that they don't ever end up using, which I think kind of plays into what you do. People are like, "Oh, I just had an idea for something cool," and it's like, "Well, how often are you actually going to use this?" Okay, whatever. If you're gonna pay me to make it, I make it. And then see here. I think he said at least you didn't say bubblegum, referring to the glue when you said you're gluing metal together. Yeah, that would be bad. I think the bubblegum thing is more in line with Tattoo Saiyans leg press project. I don't want to let you go without this as we get ready to wrap up. The more I'm going to shout out to Bells of Steel again. The more I find out about them, the more I appreciate. And I actually just wrote this out because I don't want to feel so. The more I find out about Bells of Steel, the more I appreciate how they are in terms of how they treat customers. It's not so much, and I've said this before, it's not so much to me that a company never screws up anything. To me, what matters is how they react when somebody points out that something isn't ideal or it's not perfect or could be made better. And I think that way too many companies have the attitude that they're the experts and they're like, "Oh, just take our word for it. This is the best way." And I'm like, the reality is that whatever the engineers are doing in your lab is not going to be the same as 1,000 people using it at home because everybody's situation is different. So I love that Kayvon's built a brand that, in my opinion, is very customer focused and they don't mind making changes. But that being said, if somebody watching this has a modification to a Bells of Steel specific product, how would you suggest they reach out to the brand? Because you've already kind of gone through that. You've seen like you reach out to a brand with anything, there are going to be some barriers. And some of it is going to be based upon your visibility. If you're just, if you're me, you're not going to get as good a response as if you're Brandon Campbell Diamond, right? And you're going to get an even better response if you're Mark Wahlberg. You know what I mean? So, notice I just named 3 home gym owners. All right. So the thing is, but from your experience, what would be some best practices that you could advise somebody? They're like doing something and they're like, "Hey, I got an idea." How would you suggest that they reach out to Bells or any brand? You can name any brand if you want. How would you suggest that they reach out to them for the best possible response?
I mean, really, my it's hard because like it's one where like you don't really know. Every company's probably going to be a little bit different, and then you also don't. It depends on how your stuff got put out there. Like I got lucky enough that I ended my first thing that kind of went a little I think viral wasn't really, but Kaizen or Kyle put out my leg extension that I made, and then it just got a lot of traction, and that kind of caught Bell's got on my radar, or I got on their radar basically. And then as I sort of kept making more stuff because they already were seeing it, and I went through just Instagram DMs, and that's kind of how that kind of transpired. I do want to give a shout out to Bruce. He's one of the people for social media for Bells of Steel. He kind of got the ball rolling and was able to get this started for me. And Kyle as well, just putting everything out there. But after that initial one with Bells of Steel, getting that first one, it was how I've gotten in contact with all these other companies. Home Gym Con was the biggest thing for me. It's like I was able to get there, and I was able to build these connections and talk to all the different owners or the employees of the different companies. And once you start talking to people and you have that kind of just in-person contact, that makes it a little easier and a little quicker to get those things, get that ball rolling. But it's hard because every company is going to be a little different, and I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody that got lucky. And I know there's a few other people that have done not necessarily like exactly the same thing, but similar things. And we've all gone about different ways of getting our products, trying to get them to market, and we're all kind of ending up in the same ending point. But it's when we're like, there's all these different avenues you could take, and I don't really know which one is best. You could go the route where you just share what you have, and then a brand will reach out. You could you could send it to a bigger creator if they like it. They'll reshare it, and then that'll get a lot of attraction there as well. And then, but the downside of those things is a lot of times if you put that product out there, you're going to get people that are going to knock it off. People are going to steal your ideas. So there's a give and take of those different things. And then get patent all those things. That's so expensive to do. And it's one where like, ideally that's how you would want things to work, and you would be able to do that. But that's not always feasible for anybody. Even like you don't want to, people are like I mentioned before with the whole PRx thing, like take out a loan to get the patent. I'm like, if you take out a loan and then that the patent process with being the defense, like let's say on the low end that you're looking at like $20,000, and that if that product isn't a hit, you're out pretty much $20,000, and you have this piece of paper that says you have a patent on this thing. But it's like, if you were wrong in your anticipation of how popular the thing that you thought this was going to be, it's one where like you're taking all of this risk, and the financial burden on a lot of people is going to be way too high to be able to do those things. And it's just hard to kind of give somebody like this is how you do it, just because there's so many different ways that you could potentially do those things. But I do, the main thing is I think that if somebody wants to do it, having a working prototype, something that you can actually physically show somebody or physically send somebody, is a lot better than just having like a sketch. Or you're trying to describe what you think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be very hard for the company to be able to visualize those things. But if you actually have a physical working prototype, that would be the thing. Like, if you can make the thing and actually get something working, that's probably going to be your best bet to get a company's attention, to get your thing, to try to get it to market.
All right, so my guy Rob Brinkley. Hey Rob, I appreciate you stopping by. Now you got to get the kids ready for school, and then he's got to head off to do some coaching at Original Strength. So proud of that guy, and Rob has come a long way. excuse me, he's come a long way. Stay-at-home dad training slash strength coach. So I just love seeing people succeed, man, especially from the home gym community.
Absolutely.
The reason I asked you about like your what you would say is like the pathway is because a lot of people like they're gonna send a DM, right? Well, they don't think about the fact that the person who's a social media person for whatever company isn't necessarily a decision maker. They just all they can do. Let's say they say, okay, sure. All they can do is run it up the chain, which is why I think Michael Vaudrey and Joyce Vaudrey were. I thought they did things the right way because they took their product to Home Gym Con. That way, even if nobody's interested, at least you were able to explain it clearly and just say, hey, come over here. Can you take a second? Come look at this thing. You know what I mean? So I really do appreciate that. By the way, are you in? I don't remember if you said that you're actually. I assume you're in the Home Gym Discord. Are you in any other Discords, like the Custom Barbell Discord?
No, just the home gym Discord, and then the home gym
Had you even
con.
heard of the Custom Barbell Discord?
Yeah, no idea.
I'll send you the link. I get in. They're pushing envelopes. Let's just say that not in a bad way either. I was just looking. I was just like I'd like to get one of those guys on here because I see the stuff they're doing the barbells. Like they had a project with the American bar with the Chewy bar. They're doing something to it. I was just like, this is like I would never even think like that.
I mean, they're doing stuff like I did to my ATX bar where I stripped off all of their coating on there, and then I repainted it myself.
I mean, this, like I said, there's a lot. So, anyway, I want you to do a quick thought experiment with me. Look ahead. Let's go 10 years. That should be far enough. I want you to look ahead 10 years and tell me where you think your brand will be, or where do you want your brand to be? Let's say everything goes perfectly. Where would you like to see your brand in 10 years if everything falls into place the right way?
Ideally, I think I'm enjoying doing this quick turnaround prototyping. So something there, and then also getting more products licensed. And then the goal would be, because my wife's also a teacher, I want her to. The goal would be she'd be become like a stay-at-home mom, and then like I don't know if I would keep teaching or not, but the goal eventually would be to stop teaching, and then just keep making products and keep doing the quick turnaround prototyping, and then potentially even open up like a smaller gym, and then have that where I can kind of test out my different ideas and have feedback from people that would come in, like a small, maybe like a
sign this
gym.
waiver, go try that out.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna stand. Don't mind me. I'm gonna stand next to you and take notes.
Hey, if you want to try some cool stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So I've been flashing your website and your Instagram across thing, but go ahead, tell everybody as we close, what's the best way for people to buy products from you, order products from you, and just follow you and find out more about what you have going on, especially once you get some of these other products. I'm assuming as stuff, the NDAs are lifted, you'll be able to say, hey, I've worked on this thing and now it's out or whatever. So give people information so that they know how they can keep up with all things Porter Phys Ed.
Yeah, so the main way you're going to be able to reach me is going to be through Instagram, which is going to be Porter_Phys Ed. You can DM me there. I try to do a good job to make sure I respond as quick as I can. If you have something that you want, or an idea that you want for like something for your own gym, you can email me from my website at porterpf.com. And if it's something that you want custom, then we can go back and forth and try to come up with like a price on that. And then lead times for any of the custom stuff are going to be a little bit longer. But mainly just going through the website, going through the email through there, or even through just Instagram with are the two main ways. The other that's really the only one. Like the home Discord, I'm trying to be on there a little bit more. So I'll try to push that, but that's one I'm like somebody messes something on there, like I'll try to like respond, especially if it's pertaining to my stuff.
All right, cool, man. One thing I'll say to people is Instagram has this weird. The reason why I don't like using Instagram as a primary means of communication is because if we don't follow each other, sometimes Instagram won't even show the message. You have to like go looking for it, like in the message requests. So I say that to say, if you are interested in what Matthew does, you need to go ahead and follow him. Follow him before you message him, and that will make it a little bit easier. I know you already got 2 followers today
I
from
appreciate it. Thank
so
you.
far. So yeah, I think it'd be cool, man. I appreciate you coming on here. I can't wait for you to come on over. Next time you're here in Georgia, and I'm gonna show you how to do a Steinborn. I don't even know how we really got down that rabbit hole. It was like we started. I kind of know, but I know, but I'm like, and then next thing I know, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna try a Steinborn. I'm like, oh, okay, and then you're like, yeah. So that'd be kind of cool, yeah, man. You're welcome anytime you're here in Georgia. Just hit me up. Let me know you're gonna be here. That way, I make sure I'm here, and we'll make something
Sounds
happen.
good.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for being here. Go ahead and enjoy the rest of your summer, man. All right.
Try.
All right, man. Later, Matthew.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Yep. All right, that was my guy Matthew Porter from Porter Phys Ed, and let's see, his website is porterpef.com. I want you guys to go ahead and check that out, and then of course, as we said, follow Porter_Phys Ed on Instagram. So let's go ahead and jump back into the comment section. I think I'm all caught up, but let's just make sure. Carp said, "Get Big Derek on here, man. I'm down for 50 Cal Fitness to join. I would look, Derek. I'm telling you right now, I would love to have you guys come on and be guests on the show. So if you want to do it, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and we'll make it happen. Let's see, Michael Vaudrey. Okay, yeah, he said he's following Matthew now, and as my brother, we're gonna be going out to eat tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. Gonna eat some Ethiopian food. All right, so it is now 7:02. So shout out to the Central Time Zone. Already had a couple of representatives from the Central Time Zone here. Then the usual suspects. My guy Carp from Carp's Gym, Eric Carpenter. Make sure you guys subscribe to Carp's Gym here on YouTube. Also, Charlie B from CBS True Consumer Reviews. Make sure you guys subscribe to CBS TCR here on YouTube. And my guy Eric Eccles, he doesn't have a YouTube channel for you to subscribe to, but what I want you to do is go to AppMat and check out the Saxon Grip, because that will support Eric as well. So I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate my guy Jared Martin for being here. Jared lives in Louisville, which is going to be the site of Home Gym Con next year. So my if right now is to get my arms to be as big as Jared's, so the next time I see him, he's not looking down his nose at me. If this is your first time checking out the Way Too Early for a Friday podcast, go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe for me. Again, we're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. Can't get there without you guys. If you already subscribed, share the video with somebody else who you think might enjoy it. This is, in my opinion, an excellent thing to just listen to while you're riding down the road, especially if you're like a delivery driver or something like that. Or if you're in your office, go ahead, put it up on the like a little screen or whatever on the computer, or if you got a TV or something, just throw it up there and just let us be the soundtrack for the first part for at least 3 hours of your day. Now let's just go ahead and Eric, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you guys for all your support. All right, let's move on. We're gonna go ahead and run right through this because we have a limited amount of time. So let's go ahead and jump right into news and other things. Okay, so first item of business, I was able to get my on-air sign working from last week's Recliner of Rage, but it doesn't make me happy. I'm still irritated. So essentially what the deal is with it is how like it has like a thing showing you like which way to point the battery. So like it'll have like a little sign that says positive is over here and negative is over here. So you point the positive end to where the little plus sign is. Okay, on this device, it's backwards. So I wasn't the one that replaced the batteries. All right. I don't think my wife was either. I'm trying to figure out who the one was that replaced the batteries last time they needed to be replaced. But whatever. We assumed that the batteries were in there correctly. And then when I went to basically check again, because I remember I was doing Recline and Rage, and the battery, I think one of the batteries came out because I was like, oh, it's a new battery, and the battery came out. So I went to put it back in, and I was like, wait a minute, this shouldn't be like this. So I flipped all the batteries around, put them in, and now the sign is lit. So I'm still irritated about it because the fact is, what's the point of having a diagram if it's opposite day for your freaking diagram? So that's stupid. But anyway, my on-air sign is working. Let's see. Jared says I should just wear a shirt that's too small. All right, that's your secret? Okay. The secret to big arms. Wear a shirt that's too small. I'm gonna write that down. But let's jump into the thing that I know everybody wants to talk about. Are you satisfied with the response from PRx Performance? And before we go any further, I want to begin by saying I invited PRx on here, and I told them that this was going to be live, and I said that they could come on here and they could respond to your questions live, right? So I invited them on, and they turned me down. But I shared the link to this video with them so they can watch it. And as we go through the comments, if they want to respond to any comments that you guys make, they can go ahead and they can respond in the comment section on the replay. Or if they come in here during the show while it's live, then we'll see them, I assume, in the live chat. But the point is, I don't like talking about people behind their back. Whether it's a brand or it's an individual, I prefer to talk to them directly. So anything I say here is, number one, not about stirring up fires or anything else. It's basically just making sure everybody's informed. And I'm also trying to take the temperature of the community. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to go I did watch their full response video. So if you watch their video that's on Instagram, it's a clip of their full response video. And I put the link to their full response video, which is about 3 minutes and some change long. It's available here on YouTube. You can find that link in the video description, and it goes into more things. I also put the link to Kyle's original video. So the PRx video is a response to Kyle's original video, which was a response to a video that Coop made. But anyway, so Kyle's original video, I have a link to that. I have a link to the full PRx video response. And then I've got Kyle's response to that. Okay. So there's 3 links. If you go in the description for this video, you're going to see the links where everybody is talking for themselves. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. But more than that, I have here this is their Instagram. This is just a clip, but this is their Instagram video for anybody who didn't see the Instagram video. Because I know some people who are watching don't have Instagram. So here we go. Check it out.
We launched our newest product called the Halo Arms, and some folks in the home gym community are pissed. Shortly after launch, a lot of claims came out saying that we stole others' designs and patented them as our own. Today, we're going to give our fact-based response to prove that these accusations are simply not true.
Look, patent research and terminology can be hard to understand, but what we patented has nothing to do with the designs or technology that we're being accused of ripping off. If it did, we wouldn't have been awarded the patent. In the Kaizen video, he expresses his concern with using our patent to shut him, Vendetta, and any others down. This was never our intention.
It's really unfortunate how this has played out, and we think it could have been handled in a way where seeking understanding and truth would have been the main goal, instead of a clickbait video focused on getting views. We are and will always be committed to the home gym community.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so again, that was the PRx video response that a lot of you saw on Instagram. and that Eric is referencing right here. Eric says, he says, funny in their video yesterday that they say they didn't draw any inspiration from Kyle or Britain, yet they cite Kyle's Insta in their patent. That is true. And you can actually, I do not have the link to it, but if you go to Kyle's, if you go to the second video from Kyle, his response to the video that you guys just watched, if you go to that, the link to that, I believe he's got the link to to get the patent, so you guys can look at the patent yourself. I know that Mark from Flex Marks the Spot actually did a deep dive into the patent, and some other people have too, Basement Brandon. Some other people have been all over it. So this isn't just, you can see sometimes you're like, oh, well, maybe Kyle's overreacting or whatever, but there are a lot of people who checked out the patent, who listened to the video, who saw the video from PRx, and they have similar reactions, right? For me, and if PRx is upset that I posted that video just now and they want me to take it down, just let me know. I'll take it down. But I didn't want to just keep on referring to a video and then have, people that hadn't seen. So the things that I think about this are, number one, they asked Jake to hold off on posting his video on Garage Radio until they made a response video. Which means to me that Jake's going to watch, he's probably already watched their video, and then he's going to respond to that. It feels to me, and I want to hear from you guys, but it seems to me that the way that this is handled isn't going to resolve the situation. Because it seems to me that the way that PRx is going about it is like, if I were to write a manual for how to make the home gym community mad, I would basically say, just do it like this. And I saw several comments, and in fact, let me, if you go here, let me, I'll pull this up here so you guys can see this as well. This is the full response video. I'm not going to show that. What I am going to show is the comments. There's 85 comments so far. You guys can see, well, if you can't read it, but the first comment at the top from Basement Brandon, he said, "This doesn't read well with me." He said, "You're on video saying you took what others did as add-ons, combined them, and patented it. And you said you'd prefer communication, but when Vendetta reached out to you to open a dialogue, he was threatened legally. So the words you're saying say one thing, but your actions say differently. Y'all can do better." All right. So that's I'm looking at it, and this is like, I don't see anybody. Well, there was one response, I think, where it says, well done, or something like that. The PRx did a good job in terms of how they handled it. And it's like it's way down. Some of the comments here are like, "You're the reason people hate larger businesses." So yeah, all the way at the bottom, this guy said, "Good response message. You should have invested in a teleprompter, but good message nonetheless." And somebody else said to them, about the teleprompter. Multiple people said about the teleprompter. I don't care they didn't use the teleprompter, and I don't blame them for reading what was obviously a prepared statement from the legal department. This is a serious matter. I probably would have read my statement too. I didn't use the teleprompter, but I would have read my statement too. I wouldn't have gone off the cuff. It's a 3-minute video. I definitely wouldn't have gone off the cuff. And I'm used to going off the cuff, but I wouldn't have done it either. In the long form video, the long version of the video, at the 2:35 mark, they say, and this is the thing that really got me, I don't know if worked up is the right word, right words. This is the thing I didn't like. When I thought that their patent was going to make it infringe on the ability of other people, other brands to continue to make lever arms, right? I'm like, I understand that everybody, that there are tons of brands who are copying. Okay. I mean, Crandall Fitness, Kyle mentions this in his video too. Crandall Fitness has a swing arm that they've been selling for a while. Vendetta obviously has one. Rory Ellis has a product um, that is in this family. There's multiple. It's not like they're the first ones to come out with it, and it's not like Kyle's the first one to come out with it. There are multiple people who have come up with ideas similar to this, right? So the idea of saying, "Oh, well, you shouldn't copy Kyle's design," to me, because Kyle's basically not the original person either, right? And he's copied other stuff. I mean, let's just look at belt squats. Matt Winning came out with the first belt squat, and then and even that was sort of like a variation of the hip belt squat, right? But you see belt squats all over the place. So there's a tradition of seeing things, and I don't want to say just copying, but maybe you see it and gives you an idea and you put your own spin on it. So I don't object to that. What I object to is if you copy somebody and then you say that the thing that you copied can't now be produced. To me, that's bad business. I don't like that. All right. And I will say also, they say that, so at the 235 mark, PRx says they claim that they're patent, and a patent is a right to sue. Okay. A patent is a right to sue. You spend $20,000 to give you the right to sue people for copying you. Okay. And they say that their patent doesn't give them the right to shut down any of the other lever arm options that are on the market now or in the future. So I'm not a genius. I'm not a lawyer, but I just on the surface, and this is why I wanted them to come on, because I asked them this. I don't know what the point of getting a patent is if you don't plan to sue people who come out with a similar product. Can somebody, anyone, explain that to me? If you're in the chat, explain to me why you would spend 20, 30 grand for the right to sue people who come out with a competing product that's similar to yours if you don't plan to sue anybody who comes out with a competing product that's similar to yours. Just help me. Somebody, please. Matthew says, they say in the video that they care about the home gym community. It's a bad look. Collaboration would have been so much better because Kyle and Vendetta could have been an asset to their company. I mean, the dude is like cranking out. Kyle is an idea machine. All right. That dude could probably go to the bathroom and look at the sink and come up with a home gym idea, home gym product idea. So he is definitely somebody that you would want on your side. And look at his reach. And it's not even really to do with how many followers he has on Instagram or how many subscribers he has here on YouTube. It's how many people that he's inspired with what he does. And those people all then feel a certain sense of loyalty to him. Why would you antagonize these people? For that matter, we were all just at Home Gym Con. It's not hard to say, hey, man, we want to show you something that we're going to have at our booth. We just want to make sure everything is cool. We're clearing the air or whatever. Because Kyle said that he didn't get around to their booth because he was busy. I mean, I get it. I had actually planned on getting to the PRx booth too, and I just ran out of time. The other reason why I'm kind of like delicate about this is because I've been in a situation where somebody, if you just joined, we're talking about the PRx response. We're talking about the situation between PRx and Kaizen DIY and Vendetta. But I've been on the end of as the person who kind of got shots fired at him, right? This happened not that long ago, actually. I posted a video. I didn't even mention the company that got angry. Okay. But I was using a product in the video that they think is a knockoff of theirs. So they got upset because in another video, a completely different video, I used their product and at Home Gym Con, and they said, then they posted on that video, which no, I used their product at Home Gym Con, and I didn't say anything about their product in the video. So that was on me. I should have said something about their product. I used their product, but it's basically, that wasn't the focus of the video. It's what I was doing in the video. I used their product to facilitate the video. So then in a completely different video that doesn't mention them at all, I'm using a product that they say is a knockoff of theirs, and they commented on that video that really had nothing to do with them. They couldn't believe I had the audacity to come use their product after having this video out already. Okay. I know that's very convoluted, but basically I did a video, let's say in February, went to Home Gym Con in May and met this company, and they're mad that I made a video in February before I ever met them. Okay. So how that relates is I would have much rather they just shot me a DM on Instagram. Hey, not sure if you know, but this product is a knockoff of ours. Or even, here's another way. They could have put in the comments, so you tried this in February, but you tried ours in May. How did ours stack up? Or anything. There are a bunch of different ways. They didn't have to do the shots fired approach. And it feels like Kyle didn't reach out to PRx. Instead, from watching his videos, it seems like his first response was to make his video. But I also say he might have felt that he didn't have a choice. Because from what Brandon says, Vendetta reached out to PRx and got threatened with legal action. So Kyle might have felt that he didn't have a choice but to make a video. And they're objecting, like they're saying, okay, well, you made a clickbait video. And I guess they could kind of say that this is a clickbait video too. But saying that you make a clickbait video kind of just fans the flames. Does that make sense? Eric says, I think the only issue is that you got to give credit where credit is due. I agree 100%. And Matthew Porter says they should have followed brands like Bell's, AbMat, Rep Rogue, and many others. Yeah, you can collaborate with anybody. The best way to get rid of an enemy is to make him a friend. It's just weird that, Carpet actually they're not reading from a teleprompter in the video. If you watch the full video, again, the link is in the description for this one. You'll see that they're reading from their laptop. They have their prepared statement. It's on their laptop and they're reading from the laptop. So, because you'll see them look down. But again, that doesn't bother me at all. I would have loved to get by the PRx performance booth. Because, and that's the thing, had I done that, so I interviewed Brian Brash, I think that's how you say his name, Brash, one of the co-founders of PRx. I interviewed him when I used to publish a magazine. I interviewed him probably 2018. Very gracious with his time. It was a great conversation. And, but I haven't really had any contact with them since then. So it would have been great if I had been able to get around to their booth at Home Gym Con and reestablish a relationship, because then they may have been more willing to come on the show today to answer questions, right? Yeah. So Tattoo Saying says a possible say for PRx, if they mean they won't stop others from making similar product, is to add him to a 50-50 owner of the patent if it's 100% like this in design. And he says he hasn't seen the design. There are several things that they could do. Well, there's several ways they could have handled this differently and better. And this is a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking, because I don't work at PRx and I'm not Kyle. So I kind of don't have a vested interest in this. I'm just commenting. But, for me, it's like, I can't see something that's happening that's a prominent issue and then have a show that talks about issues in the home gym community and not talk about it. But man, this is a mess. So I just wanted to get a reaction from you guys. I have I got a poll that I put up on the channel, and I just said I want to see what their response is. And the latest comment I have from Eric Ryman, it says it looks pretty. Because I posted a link again. He said it looks pretty bad. It's poor lightning, stiff reading of a written statement. Yeah. He said hopefully the comment section. He says he's hoping that they don't delete the comments in the comment section of their video, because the community in the comment section is telling you what they think, and that's your potential customer base. Do you really want to antagonize the people who are going to be buying from you? And here's something too. So we got to think about this. PRx has, for those who don't know, they got their start, their big break when they went on Shark Tank, and they partnered with the guy, Mr. Wonderful. I think it's Kevin O'Leary is his name, I think. So he is big on patents. He's like, which makes sense. He's like, why should I put money into something if anybody could steal the idea and undercut me? I get that. But that means that they may be constrained in how they handle stuff, right? Up to and including, they may be constrained in how much they could bring Kyle in on the idea. So all I'm saying is I hope that there's a resolution. I hope that it's resolved in a way that is beneficial to all parties involved. I don't have any personal animosity towards PRx. I definitely don't have any to Kyle. Kyle is, again, like I said earlier, I love it when I see somebody winning, and especially when they're in the home gym community. And to me, Kyle is winning. He's from the home gym community. In fact, Kyle is going to be on here on the 28th. He's going to be my guest on this show on the 28th. Hopefully, it'll be resolved by then, and it won't even be something that we'll have to talk about. But I don't know. Based upon how things are going, I don't have high hopes. Now, Kyle said that he's going to have an update. That's another thing. Kyle said he's going to have an update to the Do You Even Lift Bro podcast. He and Mike are going to be talking about this topic, and they should be recording that podcast episode either tonight or tomorrow night. So this is Friday for anybody watching on replay. This is Friday, June 14th. So by Friday night, June 14th, or Saturday night, June 15th, this episode should be recorded. And then I'm assuming they're going to edit it and post it. This is a mess, man. This is a mess. Let's see here. Combining two products to make their own is legit and legal. I get it, but it's a real bad look. Yeah, I mean, again, if you combine, so what's a little bit sticky is that Kyle was in talks with them, and they decided to go their own way. But I can tell, I can get it. Like, again, I've been in a situation multiple times where I've given somebody an idea, I've pitched an idea to them. And it was obviously, it wasn't like for a physical product, but it's an idea for a show. I pitched the idea, and in a couple of cases, I fleshed the whole thing out, up to and including outlining how I would go about getting sponsorships and everything else. And they told me they didn't want to do it. And then they turn around and they do it. I've had other situations where I've pitched ideas to people and they didn't get back to me until I find out that they're doing it. That is a gut punch, man. It's like, seriously, it's hard to not feel like you just stole my idea. It's hard to not feel that. So I understand how, to a certain extent, how Kyle feels. He's like, hey, I got my idea. I gave you my ideas. I helped you problem solve. And then you take my problem solving and you use it to make a product, while at the same time preventing me from making a product. You know what I'm saying? that's rough. And as you say, that's not a good look. Um, Matthew says mistakes will always happen. Is how you respond to those situations that shows your true character. Yeah, that's true, 100%. Um, I don't know, and actually, I think that the biggest thing is, and in this case, Kyle is somebody who's got some traction in the home gym community. But I think what's sad is when this happens to people who have smaller profiles, and that's actually going to be one. I got fitness icon Clark Bartram is coming up in about 30 minutes, and he's been a part of developing several fitness products. So that's going to be one of the things I talk to him about is like, how do you navigate these pitfalls to not, you got to tell them enough to show that you know what you're talking about, but how do you protect yourself so you don't have your idea stolen? So there's that. So you guys watch out for that. It's coming up at 8:05 Eastern time. So Carp said, I think they, referring to PRx, kind of dug their own hole in the Mastonomics video. They said in that interview, we took everyone's individual aftermarket items and combined it into this and patented it. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So again, they mentioned they're not professional content creators, they're not professional YouTubers. So they're gonna say things. There's a difference. Like when you're a PR person, you kind of get trained in what to say and what not to say. And even then, people who are professional public relations people will say things that have an unintended ripple effect. But it's doubly so if you're somebody who doesn't do this all the time and you're just kind of answering a question and you're basically just talking, right? It's easy for you to say something that kind of shoots your company in the foot. So in that video, in the Mastonomics video, that's kind of like some of the ammunition that got this whole thing started, where people are like, whoa, 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 what do you mean you took everybody's idea and then made your own product and then patented it? And again, a patent is a right to sue. So if you don't want people to think that you're going to sue, what? Okay. I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me why you spend $20,000 for the right to sue if you don't plan on suing people for making products that are similar to yours. Tattoo says, I use your idea for building my deadlift platform. Please don't try and sue me. I have zero interest in in suing anybody for anything. I just want to live. All right. Carp said, even if they didn't intend to rip them off, it looks like they did, and that's a bad look. It's also fresh in everyone's mind, the things that happened with Rogue and Meat and Metals. Yeah. And I mean, so that to me is an example of a recent example of where the home gym community rallied behind a creator and the brand, the bigger brand, was able to come to a positive outcome. Now, I have no idea. I don't have any contact with Meat and Metals, so I don't know if he's happy with the resolution, but it seems like he is. There's he's posting about the Rogue versions of his products, so I presume he's happy. And I would assume, again, I don't have any contact with Rogue or Meat and Metals, but I would assume that now he's got the advantage. They've got the advantage of his creativity, and he's got the advantage of their production machine. You know what I mean? Of their production process and their resources. So that to me is probably the best outcome here. That's the best outcome now. The best outcome would have been something like what's going on with Matthew Porter, Bells of Steel, or with Matt and Eric Eccles and multiple other people. Like the U-Bell, that's a collaboration between Matt and what's his name from Squat University. That the Saxon Grip, collaboration between Matt and Eric Eccles, right? There's Zercher Pad, the Preacher Pad. That the AdMat is the way they handle things is the best case scenario. But now it's like, okay, well, how do you take what is a bad situation and kind of try to redeem it and make it okay? Because from what I'm seeing, I don't care what you say, but looking at their video, 85 comments so far. Their video has, and let's put it in perspective, the PRx Performance YouTube channel only has 11,000 subscribers. Okay. They posted their video yesterday. It's got 1,561 views. And their video on Instagram, the one that I just played, it has like 412 likes and 174 comments. And I don't see a lot of positive comments. Okay. In fact, my guy Joe Gray said, one of the comments, this is from Instagram, I really like that you were clearly reading a lawyer's script off your laptop the entire time, thinking that somehow this post is going to be your saving grace. This is like the I'm sorry if you were offended apology. This is not good. This is not good. You know, it's our guy Ashton from Freedom Fitness says, hey, you know, read the room. But Mark has a like I said, Flex marks the spot. If you guys go to the PRx Instagram post, Flex marks the spot has posted this there, and he posted it in the full video on their YouTube channle. Basically, saying your patent abstract is as follows: a lever arm and method of use are disclosed herein. An example lever arm includes a translatable positioning assembly having a handle assembly having a trigger lock, you know, on and on and on. And he said basically, if Kaizen, Jimpin, and Vendetta Strength work together with a manufacturer on a fully assembled lever arm that leverages both their products, you're not going to try and shut it down. And that's what people are having a hard time believing. And I don't blame them, because I feel like a broken record. Why do you spend money on the right to sue if you're not planning to sue? I mean, literally, why are you spending money on the right to sue if you're not planning to sue? I don't have any answers for that. Matt, yes, you did give me credit in the video, and I appreciate that. Yeah. And then Michael Vaudrey said, it hurts your heart and soul. Our ideas are part of us. Yeah. And Mike, I think you understand it, because you've got a prototype you took to Home Gym Con. It's like you could get ripped off by anybody there. But what do you do? But, you know, it's the alternative is to not put yourself out there, and then you end up like I did with my idea for Garage and Life cup holder. I couldn't ever find, I got derailed because people say, oh, you need to patent it. I reached out to the patent attorney. He's not a home gym owner. He doesn't even lift. So he doesn't even understand why a cup holder would be a good idea, you know, in a gym on a squat rack. And he discourages me and the people who are in partnership with me from even pursuing it. Next thing I know, Massonomics has a cup holder. I do not think Massonomics, in fact, I know they didn't copy me. My point is, I sat on my idea for so long, somebody else came out with one. And now what do? I just, you know, accept Marvin Gaye, throw up both my hands and just say, okay, the heck with it. All right, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Say it may have been an attempt by PRx to portray innovation by patenting it to make it look like everybody else is copying them. 100%. 100%. Because people assume, all right, I'll give you another example. You guys are getting all sorts of Garage in Life history here. So the tib bar, right? When the tib bar came out a couple of years ago, I immediately recognized it because I had used a similar product in the late 90s called the DARD. I cannot tell you what DARD stands for, but it's an acronym. But anyway, I used it. I worked at a place called Powerhouse Fitness Center in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We had a DARD. I saw it at the Perform Better Summit, where I actually met the late Charles Poliquin, rest in peace. And I saw it. I said, "Oh, this is great. Yeah, we need to get one." Got it. They bought it for the gym. Okay, used it. It fell out of production. All right. Actually, the company got sold to another company, and then that company made it for a little bit. Then that company went out of stopped making it. All right. So then my man from Knees Over Toes was using it, and he got it from the home gym guys in Australia. He got his from the home gym guys in Australia. So I saw it and I said, "Oh, heck yeah," because I was having knee issues. I said, "I need to get one." I'm already a believer in the product. I know it works. I've used it before. So I'm just going to order their version of it. No harm, no foul. I go on their website. It's not available. So I reach out to my guy, David Dennis from Gorilla Strength. Say, "Hey, man, can you make this for me?" And I described what I wanted. And I also described changes that I wanted to make to the tip bar design from the home gym guys. So the Gorilla Strength version has the home gym guys made theirs for standard plates, which is the same way that the one that I used in the late 90s was designed for standard plates. But I was like, I don't have standard plates here, and I don't want to go buy standard plates. I want to use 45 plates. So I asked David to make his design for 45 for Olympic plates with the 1-inch hole, because that's what I had. So he made that. So it was the first one that was designed for the Olympic plates with the larger hole instead of the standard plates, right? And then he went ahead. He also made it so that it's adjustable, not just for different size feet, but also to adjust the lever angle so that you can make it easier or harder just by just adjusting it. I think it's a great design. I got it here in the house. So I posted about it. I said, "Oh, check this out," right? And you had all these people from Australia flaming me because they said that I stole the idea. I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Y'all weren't even the ones that came up with it. The company that you are defending didn't even come up with the idea. And they can't say that they came up with the idea because I'll show you the picture of the thing from 1997. Okay. And to their credit, they never said that they were the originators of it, right? I just said, and I wasn't infringing on anybody's patent. They didn't have a patent here in the United States. And again, I would have ordered theirs, but they were out of stock when I went to look at it. I think it was going to be like 4 weeks before it would be available. Then I would have to wait for it to be shipped to me. David had it done in like 2 weeks. Why am I going to wait? So 100%, if somebody sees you come out with something and your product is the first time they see it, they're going to assume that you're originator of it. You know? So everybody thinks that the home gym guys, I'm not blaming them, but everybody thinks home gym guys were the ones that invented the tip bar. When, like I said, the thing's been around since before 1997. That's a benefit of being in this game for over 20 years. I see stuff come and go, right? So you can't tell me that something's an innovation if I've seen it before. So there's that. All right, let's I'm ready to move on from this because I do want to make sure that we cover recliner or rage. And I think that we've kind of gone round and round about this PRx thing long enough. If anybody else has any other comments about it, you go ahead and you can post it in the chat, and I will respond to it. But I'll just say I hope that PRx, you 100% are invited to come on and defend your side of the issue. I'm willing to send the questions I'll ask you ahead of time so you can clear them with any legal people you have. And I'm willing to stick to those questions, but you are invited 100% on my show to present your case to my audience. And Kyle, as I said, is going to be on here on the 28th of this month, 28th of June. And he's going to hopefully come with good news about a resolution. So there's that. But let's move on into the next segment, which has nothing to do with PRx performance at all. But I am upset. So let's go.
It's the recliner of rage.
It's the recliner of rage, 'cause he's not happy.
All right. I am not happy. Carlos said he thought his was already a recliner rage segment. Nah. Let's say that the last segment I was concerned, but this I'm irritated. All right. So today's recliner rage segment is dedicated to the J hooks on my new power rack. The problem with them is the lip on the J hook is too high, it's too tall, right? So it drives me nuts when people make these. I don't even like sandwich J cups, to be honest with you, but it drives me nuts when companies make these J hooks and the lip that's supposed to stop the bar from rolling out of the J hook when you rack the bar, when the lip is too big, when the lip is too high, right? And the reason that bothers me is not something that bothered me until I started competing in powerlifting. Because that's when I started squatting low bar, right? If you squat high bar, it's not going to be as big a deal for you. It may be a big deal, but it's not as big a deal for you. But if you squat low bar, the situation is that when you first get under the bar with an empty bar, it may work just fine, right? And you step back and you're okay. But as you start to warm up, your shoulders are going to open, the bar is naturally going to travel down. And as you add weight to the bar is naturally going to travel further down your back. So you set the J. So when I set the J hooks up in the rack, I went all the way up to I went to I think my third set before I noticed the problem, right? And I was just like, okay, this ain't gonna work. And what happened is I'm trying to, like, as I'm coming back in, the bar started to hit the lip of the J hook, right? So the bar starts to hit the lip of the J hook, so that I started having to do a calf raise at the end of the set. That's not good. So then I said, okay, so I lowered, this power rack has 1 inch hole spacing. So I lowered the J hooks down 1. So, all right, we'll just lower the J hooks down 1. I don't like that because that's not where, I'm used to squatting, but it's better than having to do a calf raise at the end of the set when I'm tired. Well, then that was too low. So I would come in and the bar hit the top of the J hook. And when it hit the top of the J hook, remember, I'm squatting, so I'm coming in and I put it up and it hits the top of the J hook, bounced off. And if I hadn't been paying attention, it would have gone right off. It would have missed the hook part. And it would have, I could have gotten hurt. All because the J hook lip is too high. So what I ended up having to do is get rid of the J hooks. I mean, I didn't throw them away, but I took them off. I threw them. Full disclosure, I threw them, but I didn't throw them away. But I took them off and I replaced them with my old J hook. So that's something that you guys need to keep in mind. If you have a set of J hooks that work for you and you're switching to another rack, you might want to hang on to your old J hooks just in case, because this honestly could save you from getting hurt. So yeah, don't neglect the superset calf raise. Nah, miss me with that. No, because it's one thing, like, think about it, like on my last set, it's not necessarily as many reps as possible, but I do push it, right? So I'm tired. Stand all the way up and I walk in and the bar, like I said, is lower. And now I got to figure out how to get, I'm not supposed to be doing a shrug and a calf raise just to put the bar up. That's not cool. That's not cool. So I don't like that. I think it's a bad design. And it's the number one thing. So far, that's really the only thing that I can say is you should have known better, right? It makes me say, okay, do you have anybody who lifts working at your place, working in the factory, who designed this thing? Like, do your engineers lift weights? Because it kind of looks to me like when you have, like we were talking about earlier about how you had all these functional fitness things that are popular, right? And so every brand that wants to make a power rack, they're like, oh, you got to have a functional fitness attachment, a functional trainer, rather. Okay. But if they don't lift, then it's not going to work, because when somebody who does lift gets in it, they're like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. It's because the people who made it don't lift, so they don't understand. And somebody who, the people who design these J hooks, either they don't lift or they don't lift a lot, because they would be accustomed to what it feels like to have the bar be lower on your back because of the weight of the bar, and they would know it's a bad idea to have the J hooks be that high. Matt said maybe the bar is not lower, but the weight is compressed. No, the bar is, you can literally. So I've seen probably over 1,000 squats in real life, because of what I do, like with powerlifting live streams and competing in powerlifting, and just training with other people who compete in powerlifting. I've seen over 1,000 squats by some of them done by some of the strongest people in the world. And the bar is, you can actually see that the bar is at a lower point. So if you watch somebody who's very strong start out squatting, and you just go and you put a mark on their back where the bar is when it's just an empty bar, it's going to be down a little bit lower once they get weight on there. As I said, it's because you start to warm up and your shoulder girdle and your chest open up, the bar gets lower. So you actually need to practice. That's one reason why it's good to practice with like heavy walkouts, because you start practicing your setup and start dialing in your low bar squat position. But anyway, the point is, J hooks shouldn't be like that. All you got to do to fix it is just not make the lip of the J hook not that high. I would say, for me, if the lip of your J hook is more than a half inch, it's too high, and you better have another one. And I don't know why, because you can't use J hooks when the lip is too high. You can't use it for bench pressing, because now you're going to come out of, you get in your bench setup, and you're going to come out of your bench setup just to unrack the weight if you're lifting by yourself. And if you're squatting, it's going to be bad, because, as I just said, it's going to be tough on you when you're racking the weight. When you see people competing at powerlifting meets, the lip on a competition rack isn't on the J hook for competition rack, even a combo rack. It's not that high. You think, these are people squatting sometimes 1,000 pounds. You think they want the weight to bounce out and fall? So, nah, man, you don't need to have the lip on your J hook. Doesn't mean. Anyway, I got the full review is coming, and I'm actually really happy with the rack. I like how it is working so far, but absolutely not. The J hook, trash, straight trash. However, Recliner Rage is sponsored by Freedom Fitness Equipment, and that if you don't want to be in the Recliner Rage in your home gym, you need to reach out to my guy Ashton at Freedom Fitness Equipment. You can give him a call, 980-216-4860, and he will work with you to help you build the home gym of your dreams, so that you don't have to be in the Recliner Rage whilst being in the best gym in town. And that is all there is to that. All right, it is almost 8 a.m. and we're going to be giving a shout out to the Mountain Time Zone. I need to know what you guys, you guys go ahead and start getting your comments in for Clark Bartram. Clark is a highly accomplished, I guess you can call him a fitness model, but I just call him a bodybuilder. Because when he came out, they didn't have the physique division for the men's physique division. But that's what he kind of looked like to me, So the guy has been on, I don't even know. Actually, let me Google it. How many magazine covers Clark Bartram been on? Okay, over 130 fitness and bodybuilding magazine covers. All right. Clark Bartram has been on over 130 fitness and bodybuilding magazine covers. And the dude has been doing it since when I first saw him, he was in his 30s. And he's in his 60s now. So that image I showed you guys is of Clark, for the thumbnail. That's of Clark Bartram in his, let's see if I can pull this up here. Let's see. Yeah, right here. No, it's not it. Yeah, okay. This is a 60. This dude's in his 60s. Okay. So he's coming on and I've got all kinds of questions, but I want to hear from you guys. If you have any interest in, I don't care if you're in your 30s, you want to look like this when you hit 60, right? Heck, some of us, some of you guys might be in your 30s and you wish you looked like this now. So come on and bring your questions for Clark. You can go ahead and start putting them in the chat. He's got a ton of stuff and he's got a very important message as well. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just waiting for him to jump in here and we'll go right into it. Let me go ahead and check in on my YouTube poll. We got any responses there? No? Okay. Check in on the inbox here. Nope. All right. Yeah. All right. We're in business. So we're in business. Okay, cool. All right. Oh boy. So we got our first question. That's a good question. All right. We'll go ahead and we'll tag that right there. I'll make sure that I ask that question when Clark joins the show. All right, let's go ahead though, and I'm gonna go ahead and that way when Clark joins the show, we can just jump right into it and give a shout out to the West. Wait a minute. Shout out to the Mountain Time Zone. I'm gonna give a shout out to the West Coast yet. Shout out to the Mountain Time Zone. Appreciate you guys waking up early with me. I know it's 6 a.m. for you guys. Rest of the country's been awake. I'm not trying to shame you, but just letting you know the rest of the country was awake way before you. And welcome to the Way Too Early for a Friday morning show. In a few minutes, I'll be interviewing Batman. So that is definitely a milestone for me. It's something that I never thought I'd be able to say that I'm interviewing Batman. But if this is your first time watching the show, please go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe. My goal is to hit 50,000 subscribers. We are over 34,000 right now. And so I need your help to get to my goal. So please, if you've already subscribed, share the video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I know you guys are going to enjoy this conversation with Clark Bartram. He has got a ton of information. We've already got one question in the chat for him. So I am going to go ahead and bring him on in here now. Let me get rid of this here. Let me clear out some of this stuff real fast. And here we go. All right, everybody, show your love. I feel like I always feel like late night at the Apollo when I'm like, show your love. But go ahead, show your love. The part. Clark, what's going on, Devil Dog?
What's happening, brother? Man, I'm so excited to be here. You're up early. You got people waking up all over the country, and I'm ready to get after it, man.
Hey, look, this is so are you in California, Southern California, or are you in Arizona?
I'm in Southern California.
Okay, so it is what, 5 a.m. for you?
Yep. Same time zone here and there. Yeah, so it's 5 a.m.
Okay. All right, so yeah, it's 5 a.m. for you. So yeah, so it's 8 a.m. for me, right? But
Okay.
it's so people always ask, like, how I have the energy level, you know what I mean? Like, you wake up and you got they're like, why are you so energetic the whole? I'm like, dude, first of all, I remember the lights. I remember that at Paris, the lights, and you just get in the habit of like, okay, it's time to wake up. You're up, right? But reality is, I feel like when it's something that you're passionate about, you don't need anybody to force you to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, you love life. You love life. I can tell that's why you're up. That's why you do what you do. It has nothing to do with other than the fact that you appreciate you get to live today. And I love that about you, man.
Heck yeah, man. So this is honestly, if I went back and I told myself, say in 1998, that I was going to be interviewing you, I probably wouldn't believe it. Okay. Because at the time, the idea of being able to have access to someone who has accomplished so many things just wasn't there. Like, we just had so many barriers, you know what I mean? I'd have to be where you were. I'd have to run into you like at a fitness show or expo or something like that, and we'd have to figure out something. So I love that we've got this platform. I love you've got a YouTube channel, and I want people to start, subscribing to your YouTube channel and all of the different things you're doing. So I'm gonna have that stuff going across in a little ticker as we're talking. But if I leave something out, make sure that you mention, hey, also guys, make sure you go here or whatever, right? Because I know you got a lot of stuff going on. So let's go ahead and let's dive head first into this right here. I got a bunch of questions. And Clark, so, you guys know Bruce Wayne's always prepared, but he told me he didn't want the questions ahead of time because I prefer not to get any questions. I wanted to just be, I want to go in raw. I'm like, okay, so here we go. So I'm going to start with a question from the chat because I don't know how long we're going to have Matt. Matt is in the UK, and he says he's super pale. He said, I feel like this is a slight exaggeration that he only sees the sun once a year. I feel like that's a slight exaggeration. So he can't use sunbeds because he goes lobster red. How does he get a decent tan look that won't rub off on the sofa? I say go ahead and use the tan look that rubs off on the sofa and then do a video of it because it's all about content. But Clark, I'm sure you've got a more humanitarian response. So go ahead, help Matt out.
Yeah, well, first of all, if you've ever been to the UK, he's not exaggerating a whole lot. They don't get a ton of sun, at least not like we do here in Southern California. So Matt, brother, listen, you're speaking to the king of self-tanning because throughout the years, I've mastered the art of getting a self-tan. Even though I'm not in that state right now, I am choosing not to be, but I will be so we can do this together. What I like to do is a combination of the self-tanner and also a tanning bed, because to your point, a self-tanner, if you get a cheap one or you do it the wrong way, you can look orange, you can look green. You used to look green back in the day with this product we used to have. You certainly don't want it on the couch, especially if you're married or you live at home and you have to answer to somebody else, because that's never fun. So you really need to be careful how you apply that stuff. So I always like to go to a tanning place. We have a lot of them here. I'm not sure if you have any around you or not, but I like to get 3 or 4 tans in on a self-tanning place. So you get a little bit of a base, because if you truly are super pale, I call it like the underbelly of a fish, you won't look right just with the self-tanner. So getting 3 or 4 sessions in at a tanning place to give yourself a nice little color there, and then come in afterwards. As far as a brand, there's a brand that we've used in bodybuilding for years, Jantana, and it smells good. Some of them smell really bad. Some of them come off with a horrible color. Jantana is a good one. I doubt you'd be able to get that unless you went online and bought it. But anyone, Copper Tone, the name brand ones are good. But because I am speaking out against ingredients that are harmful to our endocrine system, you have to be really careful with that stuff. So I'd be remiss if I did not mention that. You have to factor in what's more important, getting a tan or putting lotions on your body that potentially have harmful chemicals that could affect your testosterone levels and cause maybe other scarier things, that I'm going through in life, actually.
All right, so there you go. And that was your answer right there. So I got my first Batman question.
That was probably the best answer that Matt will ever get on tanning, I swear to you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not just record it, but write it down, Matt. He says, so, he's ahead. It's 1 p.m. there. So he says, from word from the future advice, it's going to rain. So take a coat out with you. I always get on him because I'm like, hey, you're in the future. You can help us out with it and let us know what's going to happen in the future. And he never does. So finally, Matt, you've changed your ways. Good God, I swear, it only took 3 months. Anyway, so I want to talk about the Batman thing, because you were in Batman Dead End, and I got a couple of shots right here. And this is, I actually showed it. We got some people in the chat, and I shared the video, a link to the video. First of all, is it weird to look at that and know that that's you?
Yeah, really, that's a badass shot right there. It is.
I mean, like, that's you.
Yeah. It's amazing, first of all, that was 2003. Time flies so fast.
Yeah.
And did you have a specific question about that? Because I could go off. That Predator, that one's badass. I've never seen that picture right there.
Yeah, so these are like screenshots to just show you how all I did was literally put it, because I knew you. Okay, so some of the stuff was just because I happen to know, because like I said, I've seen your stuff for a long time. And so I was like, oh yeah, he was in Batman Dead End. And all I literally Googled was Clark Bartram, Batman Dead End. And then I clicked on images, and all of these images popped up, which are stills from the movie. So a lot of people who are in here, some of which like Carlos, CBS True Consumer Reviews, he does a lot of movie reviews and stuff. He's a self-described nerd like I am, especially for comic book movies, and he had never heard of it. And I was like, dude, this movie is the movie that I judge other Batman movies by. So when people say that, and I'm not the only one that said it, like Kevin Smith said, it's the truest, best Batman movie ever made. Did you even know that was going to become like a cult classic when they said, hey, we need you to come play Batman for however long it took to film that 8-minute movie?
None of us did. None of us had any idea the level to which this would get. And, you had mentioned your YouTube subscribers and how many you have. This was truly one of the first viral videos to ever go on YouTube. This was 2003. This is at the beginning of YouTube, in the beginning of what we refer to now as viral. No one really knew what that was. So we shot the movie. It took us 5 days and a pickup day, to answer your question, all night long of shooting in like the rain and rain that we made, not the UK rain that Matt has, but we did it. And then, we go to Comic-Con, and the quick story about it is we go to Comic-Con, and there are these rooms, smaller rooms, where independent filmmakers are featuring their little films. So we're passing by these rooms, and we're looking in, and there are 4 or 5 people in, and we're like, man, this is going to be a bust, right? This is not going to be any fun. But we had canvassed the entire facility with these little postcards, and it said, Batman is for real, or something like that. And we're passing these cards out, passing them out. And then Sandy Clora comes to me later on. He's like, dude, come here. You're not going to believe this. I was in the room we were setting up because it was our turn. Right. He comes to me in the room, and he said, the look on his face was priceless. He said, you got to come out here and look. You're not going to believe this. So I walk out, no BS. As far as the eye can see, at the San Diego Convention Center, there's a line of people. We have video of it in the back, or a behind the scenes film that he did. I think it was Behind the Mask. We walked down this line, and the line went around the corner. Now, the San Diego Convention Center is a big place. Yeah. We go into this room, packed out, packed to the gills. This is the first time anyone's seeing this now, the first showing. I'm sitting there in the front row. They play it, and then the beginning, and it's just so quiet. People are like, what? And then a scene happens. The room goes crazy. The thing ends. Sandy Clora goes absolutely batshit crazy at the end, screaming, yelling. People are going nuts. Fire marshal comes in. The head of Comic-Con comes in, says, can you play it again? We ended up playing it 3 times in that small movie. Finally, the fire marshal kicked us out. And then someone from the Masquerade, where there's like 5,000 people, says, you need to play this in the Masquerade. Now, you need to understand the Masquerade is where they show all of the feature films, the trailers for Warner Brothers and all the big studios. Here's our little 8-minute fan film being featured, took over the Masquerade. And when that first note hit, in that room, the room was silent, and people are whispering, what is this? What? Oh my, it's Batman, dude. I heard it's Batman. And then when the scene comes, when Batman stands up, just chaos, absolute chaos. Place goes nuts. Now I'm this celebrity at Comic-Con walking around. People recognize me even without the costume on and stuff. So it was truly something that nobody had expected to reach the level. And to this day, still, look, you're interviewing me, asking about it now. I get that one photo of me rising up. There's a picture in my gym that someone painted of me. I've got maquette dolls that people make. There's so many people that do the same thing you did. they measure other Batman films against this little 8-minute fan film that was done, that was really done right. And it's fun to talk about.
Man, the thing is, so for people who like, there's kids watching this who like their version of an old school Batman is, let's say, Michael Keaton, right? Which is not a bad portrayal at all. But when that movie came out, all we had was Adam West. So this was finally Batman the way he is in, especially like the Frank Miller Batman. Like, so for those of us who are fans of the character, it was like, oh, whoa, this is actually Batman. Because I think Batman the animated series had come out. And so this was kind of similar to that. It's like, oh, okay, this is finally a live action version of what we felt like. Because Batman animated series came out when I was in college. And I remember we're watching, like, man, this is great. Like 92, 93 or something, right? And we're like, this is great. And then finally you get a live action version of that. And I never thought I was going to actually see that. And it trips me out because, like I said, it was a fan film. I do know that every time there's a Batman reboot, fans talk about how Batman did and was the first one to portray Batman, as I said, the way he should be portrayed. But how does it feel to know that people like Alex Ross, who, for anybody watching who doesn't know, Alex Ross is, in my opinion, the greatest, probably the best comic book cover artist, at least, of all time. And in fact, when I see his renditions of Batman now, the jawline looks like you, right? I'm like, I feel like I know where you got that from, right? So how does it feel to know that people think you nailed a role or character better than actors like, I'm reading the list: Michael Keaton, Adam West, George Clooney, Val Kilmer, and even Christian Bale, because that goes to Carlos's question.
Yeah.
You know, where he says, did Christian Bale ask for permission if he could use your persona before he filmed Batman Begins?
Okay.
So how does it feel to know that? Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let me forget to talk about Alex Ross and the animated
Sure.
series and those things. So Christian Bale, I'm at Comic-Con. A guy comes up to me. David was his name. Black guy, worked at Warner Brothers in the art department. He comes up to me all excited. This is the next year after Batman Dead End. So now I'm going to
World's Finest?
No, it wasn't. I don't know if we'd done for World's Finest yet, but
okay.
I'm at one of the comic shows, and Bale's, what was it? The Dark Knight Returns or whatever he did.
Batman Begins was the first.
Batman Begins. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was before that. I'm at a comic show. This guy, David, comes up to me and says, Clark, dude, I'm in the art department at Warner Brothers. Christian Bale came in. I looked in the conference room. Okay, this is coming from a guy who worked at Warner Brothers. I looked in the conference room. There were at least 50 pictures of you on the wall. And on the table of the conference room was a DVD of Batman Dead End.
Oh, wow.
Christian Bale walked out with it in his hand. Okay?
Okay.
So I now, fast forward, I'm watching Christian Bale and I'm listening to his voice. I can say with almost 100% confidence that when he sat in that room and they showed those pictures and they gave him that DVD, they said the same thing that Sandy Clora said to me when he handed me the animated series. He said, this is the voice that you need. Forget Adam West, forget Keaton, forget everybody else. This is the voice. And when I heard Bale say with a little bit of aggression, where is she? Or where is he? I knew in that moment, I knew in my bones and my soul that he sat there like I sat on this couch right here, watching the animated series,
right,
copying that voice. And my son, who's 29 at the time, was 8, was like, that's not right. Do it again. That's not right. We would sit there and drill doing the voice.
Wow.
So Alex Ross.
Yeah.
Alex Ross reached out to Sandy and said, hey, who's this guy, Clark Bartram? I really like the way he looks. I really like what you did, because Sandy's idea was to take, an live action and comic, put it and make it what it turned out to be. So I don't disagree with the fact that Alex Ross is using my jawline, because I don't know if you know this or not, he used me as Space Ghost on issue number 1. If you look it up, it's me. So I'm on the cover of a comic book as Space Ghost, and you can 100%, anyone that goes and finds it, looking at me right now, you will see 100%. It's my jawline. It's me as Space Ghost. So, and Alex Ross did that. So Alex Ross paid a lot of homage to us in future things that he did as he sketched. And there's some really cool things. Jim Ross, I ran it. So Jim Ross, right? Another great
WWE.
No, the sketch artist.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, was at Comic-Con. We're in line. He's doing drawings. He tells his man in the Comic-Con lines are forever. Two people before me and my son get to him. He says to his manager, "That's it. I'm not doing any more drawings," and he cuts it off. And my son makes a comment like, "Oh man," and it catches his attention. And he looks over and he says, he said, "Hey, young man, tell me one good reason that I should do a drawing for you." And he just said, "Well, my dad's Batman."
You go. There you go.
He freaked out. He's like, "Oh my God, that's from Batman Dead End." And one other story about.
Keep it, man. You can go. We can just stay on this topic. I'm a nerd.
No,
okay,
I can go forever.
I don't know if you can see the chat, but there are people who are asking "Hey, can you link the video?" Because again, like I said, people haven't seen it. And when you guys watch this, I put the link in the live chat for everybody who wants to see it. And then when you guys watch it, remember this is 2003, so this is before every other Batman that you guys are familiar with. It came right after Batman animated series with the late Kevin Conroy, rest in peace, as the voice of Batman. But this kind of redefined how Batman should be portrayed on screen for me and other people like me. So yeah, you could tell stories all day, and I'm just eating it up. All right. So
these are really fun. I have not talked about this in a long time. So Christian Bale, my wife, every year would go to the Oscars. She had a friend that was a big time radio guy, so she had an opportunity to go to the Oscars, and she was a seat filler. But because she's as beautiful as she is, they would put her in the front row because they want all the pretty people to be seen. So when a celebrity would get up to go to the bathroom, they would put my wife in a seat. So she's next to all of these different people. So they're taking a break. She's standing in line. There's a guy maybe 6 feet tall standing in front of her who suddenly bumps into her something and turns around and says, "Excuse me." And she's like, "Oh my God, it's Christian Bale." So Christian Bale is now talking to my wife. She gets starstruck. He's actually wanting to have a conversation with her. She said, "Clark, I didn't know what to say." I'm like, "Oh my God, dude, are you serious?" You, out of everybody at the Oscars, every single person there, every celebrity, every person, all you needed to say was, "Do you know who my husband is?"
Exactly.
I think you do, because he copied his voice.
That's all you had to say.
That was it. But she froze up because she was so starstruck. I'm like, "You live with Batman." You know what I mean?
That's right. Don't you forget it. Man, I love that.
And then Keaton, a real quick Keaton one, when they cast me to play the role for Batman Dead End, they didn't tell me. They brought me up to the studio, and Standy is very theatrical. If you couldn't tell he did
a lot with a very limited budget.
He really did.
Obviously, we're still talking about it.
He's amazing as far as
$30,000. Everybody's like, "What,
bro?" But anyway, he's so very theatrical. So after I did the audition, me and Sandy hit it off. That was something else too. There was a whole story behind that. But he brings me up to his studio, which is about an hour north of me in Orange County. And I walk in, and all the lights are dimmed, and there's one light shining down on a cowl on this big art table, just shining down on the cowl. And I'm looking around, I don't see anybody. And I hear in the background, "Try that cowl on." I'm like, what? So they come out of the darkness and they said, "You're our Batman." So it was Sandy and the producer, Simon Tams is his name, God rest his soul. He's since passed. They had me try on Michael Keaton's cowl. Now, I'm going to tell you, he must have a teeny head because I got a big head. And to get that thing on, was so hard. They had to grease my head, but I finally pulled it on. I got it over and I whipped it on. And the look on Sandy's face, he said, "That's our Batman." And at the time, Simon Tams didn't quite buy into it until I got that thing on. And they both said, "That's our guy." And then we ran with it from there, man.
So from what I remember, Michael Keaton's cowl, you couldn't turn your head in it. Like that's why he had to turn his whole body. He's always like that, right? It wasn't until I told you I'm a nerd. So it wasn't until the Ben Affleck Batman versus Superman Batman that they said, "Oh well, you can turn your head now." From what I remember,
we turned our head first in ours because
there you go.
Like,
because you were
Sandy made me
cloth.
Yeah, it was. I have it in the shed here. Sandy made me like really do fast, right? He's just like that. I meant like that brought back memories. Thinking about Sandy telling me, like, I can see him saying, "No, you got to be like a ninja. You got to turn your head quick, right? You know, Batman's head's on a swivel. He's got to be aware of all of this stuff."
Oh yeah. So when we were doing like the text thread yesterday, and because I shared the link, they're like, "Oh, I could tell that's him under the costume. You know, those aren't fake muscles. You can tell. Like, you didn't have to do much in terms of. I mean, because again, this is before the. Well, I guess you wore Michael Keaton's cowl, but you know,
no, we didn't
like
in the movie. We had a cowl made. He just had me try.
No, I mean like you tried it on. So I'm just saying like it existed, but you didn't have like the rubber muscle suit or anything. It's like that's just you, and that's one of the things that I say like whenever I look at even like the Matt Reeves Batman now, I'm like, what about that guy makes you believe that he's been training since he was 12 years old to fight every night, people knowing that there's nobody coming to rescue him? So basically, you ruined a
story about that too with the.
I'm gonna let you tell it. All right, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna fight and you don't have any powers, nobody's coming to save you. Don't you think you should lift weights? Because it's not like you're just gonna hit. You're gonna get hit. You gotta have muscle mass. It just okay. I'm trying to calm right back down. All right, but go ahead, tell the story.
So we're talking about that exactly. Sandy's like, we can't have a rubber suit. We can't have rubber nipples. Like that was the big rub on it, right? Everyone was all freaked out about that. So at the time, Under Armour had just become a company. They were not the Under Armour of today. I had a contract with Under Armour. They sent me free stuff all the time. They were making underwear and they just started making the full body suits. I had gotten like these full spandex pants that I would never wear. Like I don't wear that stuff, in a top. And I remember it was for winter and it was hot here. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? So me and Sandy are talking. He's like, we need something, bro, to fit your muscles. We need to see your muscles. And I had just tried that on. And mind you, like endorsement deals weren't a thing, but I had an endorsement deal with Under Armour. And I used to be able to talk to the guy that started it. I forget his name. It was Kevin something. He was from the Maryland area. I can remember. Okay. And I said, there's this company called Under Armour. He's like, I heard of it. Yeah, they're pretty, it's not like they weren't a big deal, but they weren't a big deal.
Right.
And I said, they sent me this spandex stuff, man. He goes, bring it up here. So I bring it up and it was a different color. And I put it on and we worked with this guy named Mac. And Mac is like a super nerd as well. He works on all these big films. Matter of fact, he was working on Riddick at the time.
Oh, wow. I love it. Another class.
Yeah. So we showed him that. He goes, and Sandy does a great impression. Oh, I'll just dye it. I'll just dye it gray, And so I give him that. I call Under Armour. They sent me a bunch of different, like white and all these. So we dyed that color and put it on. And then the scene and where I put the glove on, there was a guy from England, speaking of England, shout out to you, Matt, that made those gloves. And when I zipped it up and I put it on and I did that was me really like feeling that glove. And Sandy's like, oh my God. And the camera was running 24/7. And I did that. He's like, oh my God. And then I pretend like I punched him. Those things really happened organically when we were doing this stuff. So a lot of what you see when you watch the making of, which is a must do, like the 8 minutes is great, but to me, the making of is so much better because of the creativity, because of the limited budget, because of the the environment. That made me, you hear me say it in the making of it. I became Batman, literally.
Right.
And as I'm reliving it right now, I'm like, God, I want to do it again. Because I could do it again better now than I could then. And that was the goal. And I remember Sandy always saying, Clark, when you turn 50, you got to make sure you stay in shape. You got to make sure you stay in shape because we're going to redo this again. But we never got around to it because so much stuff happened afterwards. And anyway, now I'm 60.
I feel like you can still do it, but you've got a few things going on, that take up your time already. So let's, I want to talk about fitness longevity because, I actually just, so I've been up since about 3:30 this morning, and I was just, that's just like we were talking about, like you don't have to make yourself get up and go to work. So the morning of a show, I always wake up early, and I was looking at an article about this guy who was talking about you when you were doing your EAS campaign, where it was the new theory of evolution, and he said he was wondering. He said, I'm interested to see if Clark Bartram can maintain his physique and stay in shape. I'd love to see, this is great. It was basically like, this is all great now. What's he going to look like when he's 50, right? And so now I'm like, oh, well, we kind of know. We kind of know what you're going to look like, now that you're in your 60s. So what would you say is the number one? Well, actually, before we go there, how tall are you? And what's your current weight and body fat compared to when you posed for your first magazine cover? Let's start there.
So I'm 5'8", 185. I've been 185 for decades now. I've maintained, I'll fluctuate 183, 187. I don't hit 189 or 190. I'm consistently at 185. I am exactly the same as my first magazine cover was. No, my first magazine cover was 1989, 88. And I was
what it was?
The magazine was a small local little magazine called The Penny Saver. It was actually me and my wife, but it was officially a cover of a magazine. Okay. But at that time, I was much heavier. I was on steroids then in 1988. Okay. So I was about 220 pounds at that time. Okay.
So then when you were, so let's go right here then, because this is the one that, this wasn't your first cover for them, but this is the one that jumps out at me that I remembered. And I even brought it up to you when I emailed you. So you were basically about 185 pounds there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, so this is 1997. This marked a pretty big shift because Muscle Media 2000 became Muscle Media because they started wanting to show attainable physiques that you didn't have to be on high dose drugs to get. And before that, all the magazine covers were these guys that were these mass monsters. So this was a pioneering issue. So the next question I have is, what would you say is the number one thing that's been key in helping you stay in shape for such a long period of time?
I would say pride of ownership. The fact that we get one body to live in, and it's up to us to live in it healthy. It's up to us to walk around in a state where we could, being a geek and a nerd, if a zombie apocalypse happened, we are responsible to be able to get away. We have to be able to run, jump, throw rocks, punch, fall down, get up, and continue to do it until we get to safety. So I function in a way that is not common for a 60-year-old to function, unfortunately. The story around Batman versus Superman. We already got a Batman ready. We need to find an evil Superman. We did Batman, Superman first too.
Yeah. But in World's Finest, yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many great stories, bro.
That was you and Michael Hearn, right?
Yeah.
He plays. Okay. Yeah.
Sandy asked me, he said, dude, I want to do Batman, Superman. There's this thing called World's Finest. I want to do this. Do you know anyone? I'm like, I got a guy.
Yeah. So Michael Hearn. Like, was he already on American Gladiators?
Yeah. And in Battle Dome. So Sandy goes and he goes on the internet. I see him typing and I see him look. He's like, oh no. And then he hits print. I hear prints off a color picture of Mike. He grabs a Sharpie. He goes, this is real live. Goes over, gets a Sharpie, colors Mike's hair black, and he puts the little curly Q in it.
Curl,
He grabs the paper and he hands it. He said, "Call him." I called.
Who's gonna turn that down? Hey man, I want you to play Superman.
I said, "Bro, you want to play Superman in a movie?" He's like, "Where do I got to be?" And that was it.
Yeah.
Yep. That was supposed to be 20 minutes long, but we ended up cutting it down because we did so many stunts in it.
Yeah.
We practiced with a professional trapeze artist just to learn how to do the ending of that thing for days. I drove to LA back and forth all the way up into the valley. Now go to the valley, that takes 2.5 hours to this old man, world famous trapeze circus guy. We were on I was at least, we were on a Russian swing. We were on the trapeze, all to at the end where we fly out just for a split second scene. It was months of rehearsal for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's you go from that, and then Michael Hearn still looks really good too. My brother and I took a picture with him at the Arnold. He was walking by and we're like, let's just take a picture with him, and he was gracious and took a picture with us. But he looks so, like when I see him in pictures now, he still looks to me like he did when I met him at the Arnold, and this was 2015, I think, that I ran into him. And so for me, like you said, it's like an ownership mentality. Basically, like you feel like you got to take ownership of how you look and how you perform. But I gotta say, man, I mean, I mentioned the Marine Corps. You were in the Marine Corps, and I think I remember you saying once that being in the Marines either makes you an alcoholic or makes you a devout Christian or makes you a fitness junkie. So number one, I agree with all of that. It's like you're stuck in places with not much to do. So you either become an alcoholic or, you got to find something to occupy your time. I know people who never used tobacco products until they got to the Marine Corps. They get bored. We're out in the field one day and they say, oh yeah, let me start dipping, just because they're bored. It's not like they even want to smoke or dip. And I was in artillery, so there wasn't too much smoking. It was more like dipping. But I'm watching them, and I never did it, but I'm watching them and I said, why are you doing it? Because they said it didn't even like taste good or anything else. And I'm like, well, it gives you something to do. The process of opening it up, taking it out. And if you've never been deployed, you don't understand how important for 5 minutes, I got something to do. I'll figure out what to do with the next 5 minutes, after that. So how did your time in the Marine Corps, though, shape how you look at life and how you approach how you take care of your body?
Let me get to that in a second. Let me answer the EAS ad thing first. That ad was the most famous ad in the history of fitness. No ad has ever been bigger. I've always had this idea.
It was on billboards, like going
Yes,
down
it was on billboards. It was on semi-trucks. Times Square was everywhere.
Yeah.
I have always had this idea later on that I wanted to redo it later down the line. So I just started doing some work with Russell Brunson. He was one of the only people that understood my vision. So we just recently shot the 5th photo in that series, and it's 26 years later, and I look better. What's that?
You posted that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I look better 26 years later than I did in 1997 when we shot that ad. And that ad is unretouched, no photoshopping. It says on the bottom, Bill Phillips would not let anything. You could even see the athlete's foot fungus on my toe in the shot because they didn't touch anything on it. And we followed the same principle for the 5th image. And there's a whole YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, go to my YouTube channel and look up EAS Evolution, whatever. And it's the whole thing shot on there. Me reuniting with a photographer 26 years later for the first time. He looked better. I looked better. It was crazy. So the Marine Corps is definitely what you said. You're on a deployment, you're sitting out there, you're dirty, you're bored, you're tired, you're, talking trash with your buddies. I think that's where I started. No, I didn't start drinking coffee until I became a bodybuilder because that was a treat. But I decided, because in boot camp, I ended up becoming a squad leader and then the guide because of my physical prowess. So fortunately, I allowed my physical prowess to be the thing that led me. I didn't become an alcoholic. I became a devout Christian later in life, but in the Marine Corps really did hone in my physical I guess, like determination to be the best. Because when I saw I was able to set myself apart from other people if I tried harder, if I was better, if I like gave it a little bit more of an effort, I would get raise up in the ranks. So I became a squad leader. I didn't know what it was, parasailing. I'm like, shoot, I can get extra, attention or not have to work as hard if I'm in charge of these guys. Of course, you got your ass kicked because of those guys, but there was other benefits. And then when I became the guide and then graduating meritoriously and in all of that, I just carried that into the Marine Corps, and they ended up like, hey, you want to play rugby? So I got on the rugby team, and I was able to do a lot of cool stuff because of my physical prowess and my ability to just push myself where other guys weren't willing to. They just wanted to lay in the rack, eat chow and wake up at the last second. And like you, that wasn't me. I would get up and I would get squared away. Like every Friday, today, we would be in formation, like literally right now. Yeah. And the CO would be walking up and down. He would look at me and go, Bartram, take the day off. You look great. Hey, assholes, this is what you're supposed to look like. See what happens? I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. It didn't take me long to figure it out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like you can make them. That's what I took. So my oldest and my youngest sons are both in the Marine Corps now. My oldest son, he's actually I got to pin him. He's a staff sergeant, and when I went to his pinning ceremony, and I actually took my old staff sergeant chevrons, and it was such a blessing to be able to pin him with my staff sergeant chevrons. And that was like one of the coolest moments. And then my youngest son is in the Marine Corps now. And it's so just having my bookends, my oldest and my youngest in the Marine Corps is cool. But I told both of them the same thing. I'm like, the Marine Corps is the sort of thing, and it's like fitness too. I guess it's like most of life. You get out of it what you put into it. If you approach it with the attitude that, oh, this sucks. Why do I have to do this? Somebody's making me do this. Well, it's gonna suck. I mean, I don't care. Like, so what do most people like? I guess most people like bench pressing, right? Even bench day is going to suck if you approach it like, oh, why do I have to do this? But if you approach it with enthusiasm and put your all into it, you can actually, like a book, Ecclesiastes, basically just says, just be happy. You can actually make yourself happy with how you talk to yourself, right? You can actually improve your mood. So that is interesting to me because I just started reading your book, Where Your Mind Goes, You Go. And I thought it was interesting that you set it up as a 30-day guidebook. So it reminds me of The Purpose-Driven Life, which I read when I was deployed to Iraq. I used to start my days, especially after we had already taken the city of Fallujah. I would start my days with that, and I'll do my devotion. But what made you format the book, like not as a read all the way through, but as a each day do this one thing and then think?
First of all, with your sons, I don't know how you got through that story without crying. I'm sure you had to hold it back because that is super cool. Super cool.
Man, I'm very proud of them.
And I don't want to gloss over the fact that is super cool. As a father, super cool.
Oh, yeah.
So with respect to the book, I heard Alex Hormozy yesterday in a post saying, I've built a 8-figure business without reading books every day. I've built an 8-figure business without getting up at da-da-da-da-da. He did all of these things that are completely opposite of what everybody else is teaching. Mm-hmm. And I love that because this culture of these influencers saying, you got to read a book a day. Here's the problem with that. Nobody comprehends or applies the information in those books because they're so caught up with reading a book a day. You only need to read one passage in the Bible and apply that to your life consistently every single day. Your life will change. So with that knowledge and information, I said, I'm going to write a book where I will not allow a person to finish it in a day, a week, like it's a race to get to the end. No, it's not. It's a race to apply the information that's being shared. So when someone gets that book and I just signed it and I mailed it to them and I get an email 3 days later and they say, Clark, I read your book. I'm done. I will not listen to them because I know it's a lie. You did not read my book because if you read my book, you will have stopped on day 1 and your comment would be, Clark, I'm on day 2 of your book.
Right.
Wow. I didn't know that. It's so whatever. They would have talked specifically about day one or day two, not I read your book. So to me, reading books for the purpose of reading books and bragging about how many you can read in a month is a waste of time. Okay. We have to absorb the knowledge and apply the knowledge is the key. So if I talk about in that book, don't drink the poison, I expect that that person apply that information of, okay, I'm not going to harbor anger towards this person because the only person that's affecting is me.
Right.
And if I can apply that to every person that I have issue with in my life, I will now release myself of the stress of and all of the things that cause us to be unhealthy as humans. So this is how I see it. And this is what my expectation is. So if every single book that I have is the same way, Magical Mornings, 10 Steps to Conquering Fear and Anxiety, the Where Your Mind Goes, You Go, Volume 1 and Volume 2, they're all that way because that's how I feel about it. There's in the scriptures, Selah means meditate. And that's what we should do. We need to meditate on what it is that we learned.
Right.
And once we meditate on it, then we apply it to our life, not gloss over it, get the executive summary, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I read a book, boom, next one, blah, 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 boom. So anyway.
I mean, that makes sense because like day 2 is after this show. So I've read day 1 and the first thing that stuck out to me, I actually highlighted it was where you said that keeping all the stress, keeping not forgiving leads to stress and your body starts to internalize it. And you link it to stuff like fibromyalgia. And I was like, you know what? How many people have anger that they're holding? And this sounds like really, really touchy-feely. And I know like a lot of my audience, like they're into, like they want us to hurry up and get to your home gym tour and talk about your equipment and all that kind of stuff. And I promise we'll talk about that stuff too. But for me, one thing that I see as a big problem in the home gym community is we have a lot of people buying equipment, but then not necessarily using the equipment. Like we should, when we just walk, to me, if you're in a grocery store and you're a home gym owner, you should look like, people shouldn't have to ask you if you work out. And I don't mean that you got to be like super muscular because maybe you're into like endurance stuff, but you shouldn't look like you don't work out if you have a home gym. So to me, it's this stuff like this is more, I'm like, all right, this is the kind of stuff that is the key that lets you unlock the door so you can walk through there and actually take advantage of all this stuff that you spent all this money on. You know, we got like $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 or more $1,000 in our home gym. And like Louis Simmons says, you don't want to have $200 shoes and a 10-cent squat. You know, so like what are you doing with it? You know what I mean? So I want to ask you this, because of how you look, your physique is attainable, and I think that's part of why you remain popular. But when you go to pool parties, do you have like younger guys asking you to put your shirt back on because they're like, "Come on, man, you're making it." Especially as you get older, they're like, "Clark, come on, can you help us out?" You know, especially your kids. Come on, Dad, come on.
Yeah, it's one of two things, and one of my favorite things to do. Speaking as a father, and you having just said that about your sons in the Marine Corps, when me and my son go to the beach, he was a scholarship athlete. He played quarterback in college, and I can throw the football a little bit. You can see it on my YouTube channel, my trick shots and stuff. So we go to the beach, and obviously your shirt is off at the beach. So we're throwing the ball, and because we're both pretty good at throwing the ball, we get attention. It's like, oh, wow, look at how that ball spins so perfectly. Yeah. But then they will like see the ball flying to me and I catch it and like, oh God, this old guy's in shape.
Yeah.
So now I get all of these college age guys that will come and literally surround me and start asking me, bro, what do you do? Oh my God, how old are you? And all of the typical questions will come up, but I'm engaged with them. I'm there, but off in the distance, I see my son standing there and I feel so proud. This goes back to the, why do I do what I do? I feel so proud of the fact that my son is watching kids his age come to me and want to know what it is that I do. How can they do it? And I am so glad that I have that. I'm that example. Like you were the example of what it is to be a Marine, and you took your chevrons off of your uniform, out of your shadow box, put them on your son. Those moments that we get as fathers are priceless. That's what I want guys to understand. When I'm on the internet and I'm being, confident with all this bravado, I'm only doing that to get them to smash that button to say, I want to know about your program because I want what you have. And yes, so if I'm on TikTok and I pop my top off, these guys are saying, come on, Grandpa, my grandma's on here. Come on, Grandpa, my wife's on here. Come on, young girls, you're taking them from us. So both sides of that conversation I appreciate because I understand why people are saying it. Even the trolls, they want what I got.
So having said that, you've been committed to taking care of yourself for a long time. So how much of a gut punch was it to be diagnosed with prostate cancer?
It wasn't a gut punch at all. It was it was something that I knew I was the perfect guy for. I sat in my office on this laptop and I got my doctor on there and we're doing the Zoom call and he's going through my scans. My wife's behind me and I can feel him leading up to the conversation that he's had with many guys who probably took it completely opposite than I did. He said, we found cancer. And I literally sat up because body language is big to me. Energy is big to me. You started the show with that, right? Like energy and all of that. People look at me and they say, Clark, it was so on brand for you to get this information and run with it the way you ran with it. I have a platform. People have been watching me since the 90s. They've seen me in the magazines. They know a lot about me. And thank you for doing your homework, by the way. Thank you for doing your research because that impresses me. And it makes it so much more fun that you give me a reason to dig out these stories where other people wouldn't have the ability to do that. So you're great at what you do.
Thank you.
So with that, I am understanding that before in marketing, I was too far from my avatar. I was too in shape. Even though you say my physique is attainable, a lot of guys didn't see it that way. But now that I am telling everyone, hey, I got cancer, I am now right there with them. Guys can look at me and go, oh, wow, he got it. What about me? And then wives are saying, yeah, go get checked. Yeah, get in shape. Yeah, start eating better. Yeah, start thinking better. Because cancer also has a root cause similar to what I talked about, fibromyalgia and all of that. So these are metabolic diseases that we could possibly change with a change in our lifestyle and a change in our attitude and a change in our behavior, not going and getting a shot or radiation or all of these things that typical medicine would tell us we need to do. We need to go beyond that. And the number one thing anyone can do is use their home gym or get one or go to a gym or do some push-ups, do what we did in the Marine Corps.
So, I mean, there's a bunch there because, and we may end up, are you okay if we go a little long? Because I know you're a busy dude.
Yeah, I got a client coming, but I'm going to tell him to come over and I'm going to open my garage door and let him get on the treadmill. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I just want to make sure we cover the home gym stuff because I'll get crucified if we don't.
Dude, I added stuff. I'm going to update the home gym thing, but
I definitely want to say. So you started the Check It Like a Man, which we're talking about, so you could, help men realize the importance of going to get their prostate checked. You're like no holds barred, aggressive with how you approached it. I was like, that's aggressive. But you're doing a documentary, which even includes like your prostate exam, right? So, and I gotta say, I laughed a little bit when the guy asked you, when you say it's a digital prostate exam, he said, well, how's it digital if you're using your finger? And you looked at him and you're like, well, a finger's a digit. I horse laughed. Okay, I just horse laughed because I can see you trying to restrain yourself. But anyway, so you've got the documentary, you're getting your prostate checked in documentary. But what I don't know is the documentary done or not? Because you have it's not a GoFundMe, but it's like you're raising funds to support the effort. So is the documentary done? And if it's not done, how can we support getting it done? Tell me about that for a little bit.
So we'll start there. CheckitLikeAman.org is my 501c3 nonprofit organization. So anyone can donate to that to help me not just create that documentary, but travel to podcasts like that one in Las Vegas with guys like Brad Lee who have big platforms. I'll travel anywhere, anytime. But unfortunately, a lot of these podcasts can't afford to bring you in. And to me, I would love to be in the room with you instead of being here. Like it's so much more fun doing it that way. So, and then I also sent a guy to Florida recently to get a scan. So the money's being used for a variety of different things. The trailer's done for the podcast or for the documentary, and I'm doing this all on my own. And to your point, I got a lot of stuff going on, and I am talking with my editor today. I need to give him a hit list of what I want next. And that DRE, digital rectal exam, will be in this next installment because we're doing it almost like Batman with Adam West in an episodic type of approach where we're going to put out 20 minutes at a time, and then with the intention of being able to put all of those 20-minute pieces together for one thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I only know what I know. All I'm doing is holding my phone up, taking video anywhere I can, then asking these doctors and different clinicians and experts if I can interview them. And somehow, some way, we'll put it together. If there's any editors on here, if there's anyone on here that knows about doing documentaries, reach out to me. I need all the help I can get. That would be great as well, because I really want to take my, we'll call it celebrity, and use it to have guys go, wow, I really do need to get checked. And yes, I am aggressive about it because that's the way real men need to be spoken to. In the Marine Corps, they didn't say, could you please go over there in that sand pit and do a couple push-ups for me? No, they grabbed us. They said, get your butt over there, get in there and do this, because they knew it would be good for us in the long run. I know how men think. I know how men act. I coach men every single day of my life. I have text messages right now from my coaching clients checking in with me. I have a team of guys working with me. We are affecting the lives of men all around the world, and it goes beyond the body. So any man watching, go get your PSA checked today. Just tell your doctor, hey, throw PSA in. You're not old enough. You're only 30. So what, doc? I want it. Why? Because I said so. You don't need to know why. You know what I mean? It's that simple.
Yeah. All I ask, and I'm serious, don't have any of your Batman stuff on during the digital rectal exam. That's all I ask. Don't do that.
We're not tainting the memory.
Yeah, don't damage my childhood.
Yeah, that ain't happening, bro. That ain't happening.
All right. So I see Checking Like a Man as, and the link is right there going across the screen. Donate at checkitLikeAman.org. Also, I want you guys to visit Clark's website, maximizedmanelite.com. And of course, subscribe to @Clark Bartram on YouTube. I'm just going to keep all that in a rotation going so you guys know how to get to everything. I've also got all of the links to everything that's going across the screen. The links for all that are in the video description on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and of course on YouTube as well. So you guys have a bunch of different ways to check out Clark's stuff everywhere that it is available. Now, I see Check It Like a Man as being part of your quest to help men over 50, which includes me, live their best lives. What are key points, though, you think, for someone who's over 50 to not just, like, I feel, especially now that I'm about to be 51, I feel the pressure where society wants me to fade away. They don't want me to die right away because I'm still part of the, I'm still paying taxes. I'm still contributing to Social Security. So they need me to keep going to work, but they want me to fade away slowly. And I don't think that that's how we're designed. We're supposed to live vigorous, active lives for as long as we're here on Earth, to the point where, like, when you die of natural causes, it should be a shock. Everybody should be like, whoa, what happened, right? So what are some key points you think for someone, especially if they're, let's lower in, for the kids. Let's say they're 35. What are some key points for them to live active lives for the rest of their lives?
Yeah, well, they are attacking 30-year-olds because if you go on the internet and you look at all these BS statistics, they say every man after the age of 30, his testosterone will decline by 1% every year. I fly in the face of conventional wisdom. I say, no, that's a lie, BS, don't believe it. So if they're attacking men at their testosterone, what makes a man? What separates us from a woman? What makes us strong? What makes us want to be Marines? What makes us want to go off and go to work every single day, get up in the morning, use our home gyms? It's testosterone. So if they're telling 30-year-olds, look, you're losing this, they are trying to erode us from this planet. So what someone could do, I teach 5 principles. Mindset. You got to have the right mindset. Like, I am not going to be that guy. My goal, to your point, when I die, I want people to go, oh my God, Clark? Are you serious? Bro, did you see that guy yesterday? He freaking
exactly. Yes. My grandfather died. I'm sorry to cut you off. My grandfather died. He's 99. The night before, he went to a party. He went to a party, saw all of his grandkids, great grandkids, walked home, or well, not walk, but he walked every day. He started lifting weights when he was 80. Gets home, walks around, and says, you know, I got a headache, and lies down. I'm like, how do you,
dude?
Like that.
He's my hero. That's how I want to go. That's my dream.
Thank you. So, but go ahead. Oh, and we do have it's a quick comment from Matt. He says, our king, so the King of England has recently released that he has prostate cancer in an effort to get more men tested. I think we all know why the stigma is there about prostate cancer, because nobody wants to get the,
Yeah.
But I mean, that you had to go through it when you went through MEPS. So it is what it is. But anyway, go ahead. I cut you off. Please continue.
No, so it's mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity. You have to have your mindset right. Let me open my garage door here real quick for my guy. Hold on.
Sure. We are once again, we are with Clark Bartram, who is a fitness icon, been in the fitness game for a long time. So while he is letting his client in, we appreciate him going a little bit long with me. So when he gets back, we're going to finish that, and then we're going to be talking about his home gym, talking about the choices that he's made. So you guys, I appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button, hit subscribe for me, and make sure you subscribe to Clark's channel as well. It is at Clark Bartram on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that. He's got all kinds of good stuff on there. There's no reason he should have 15,000 subscribers. It should be way higher than that. So you guys go ahead and subscribe to him right now. Okay. But go ahead, Clark.
Thank you. So the 5 principles, my guys live by this: mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity. So when you get your mindset that, no, my testosterone is not going to be low. No, I don't have to be out of shape and overweight. Like this guy showing in my house, shows up 3 days a week. He's 62 years old. He busts his butt in the gym, in my home gym, my great home gym, which we'll get to. Meals, right? That's super important. Look, I teach these things. I'm doing a webinar on Saturday, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. If anyone wants to join, just DM me. I'll send you the link. It's you be my guest. So these things are vitally important to understand, and we could unpack each one of them, but obviously for time reasons, I would love to do this again with you, brother. I tell you.
Just let me know when you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it tomorrow. Shoot, I'm all in, man. I'll do it at 2 a.m. It don't matter to me. But yeah, so that's vital. So you have to really understand your job. Here's what I want to plan in your mind. I shouldn't be an anomaly. I shouldn't have people looking at me like I'm an alien. I should be the norm. Unfortunately, I'm not. Why is it that at 60 years old, I have high testosterone, I look the way I look, when I get on TikTok and my shirt's off and I tell someone I'm 60, they are like, oh my God, it shouldn't be that way. So let's not be that way. Let's this is where community comes in, right? Surround yourself with the right people. Your testosterone will automatically go up. You will want to look better. A true friend is going to rise the level of expectation for you, not lower it. So if your friends are saying, hey, let's go party, let's go drink, let's go eat this pizza, let's go do that, maybe don't hang around with them that much. Community is vitally important. I have a community of like-minded men who absolutely change the dynamic for everybody around them, because they won't last. You will not last in the Marine Corps if you are not rising up to the level of expectation that is being set. And the reality is nobody wants to do it. That's why we all did it, because we wanted somebody else to challenge us on a level that we could not challenge ourselves. When I saw out of the corner of my eye, dress blue uniform in my lunchroom at Timken Senior High School in Canton, Ohio in 1981, I'm like, what's that? I want it. And then the nerves, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. That's the feeling we should have in life. If you don't, you're entering a room of average people that are going to not level you up. Bro, you got me fired up. I want to.
There you go. That's it. I'm telling you, well, see, I love that passion, and I love that, you know, we got people. It's interesting to me. So Carlos, CBS TCR, he's in Houston. Tattoo saying Matt is and Carlos is at work, driving around listening to this, right? Matt is at work. Tattoo saying he's in England at work. His day is winding down. He's getting ready to go deadlift. He competes in strongman and powerlifting, so he's getting ready to go train. And to me, those are like the two things, like you're affecting people right here. And I love the fact that these guys are willing to stick around. Matt's a pretty young guy. Carlos is my age. He's in his 50s. And just the fact, like that quote right there, he's like, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we shouldn't be fading away. We shouldn't be fading away. So I brought up your YouTube channel a bunch of times. It's at Clark Bartram on YouTube. How does it fit into the Clark Bartram systems ecosystem? Yeah, let's use ecosystem. How does it fit into that? Because like, how is what you put on YouTube different from what you put on Instagram, for example?
Longer form for one, as we all know. And I actually have a list right here from my assistant and my business partner of YouTube videos that I need to start shooting today. And we have looked at our demographic. We've looked at the people watching the channel, and we are giving the information that people are asking for. That's key. Because I was coming on here with just random guests that didn't necessarily fit in to the ecosystem, to your point. But now we've streamlined it. It's like, okay, we got to talk about prostate cancer. We've got to talk about working out. We got to talk about mindset. We have to talk about these things. But some of the topics kind of got off a little bit. So I'm listening to what people want. We're polling the audience. Right. And we are providing that information. So I have got this list of stuff that revolves around testosterone, that revolves around body parts specific, like abs. Like, you know, look, man, I mean, come on. I'm not sitting here photoshopped and like, this is me.
There you go.
365, even with horrible lighting, it still is there. So we're providing that information. And then the other stuff on there, like the football trick shots, that's cool. That's motivating. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's mindless. Not everything needs to be 100% on like, okay, you got to do this. I'm not that guy. I'm a guy who gets busy living, right? And I took that right out of Shawshank Redemption. Get busy living or get busy dying. So that's what I want to inspire people to do. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it. That's the way I live. I have my guys play the song from Bill Withers all the time. Lovely day, lovely day. That's when you know, we play this and we let that sink into our body.
Go play that song, man.
You know? Yeah, right.
Man, so Matthew Porter, I love Matt. I'm so glad that you're here. Matt is a PE teacher. So I'm saying like we're going across the spectrum. Matt, he's a PE teacher in Florida. And I love that because to me, it's like I want him to hear stuff like this, because he's imparting it to the next generation. In September, he's got to pass this message on from you to the next generation of kids. And that's really important.
Dude, I would go to Florida and teach alongside of Matthew Porter. And this is what I want to do. My life
Matt,
is.
You hear this? Matt, hey, I will gladly connect you guys. I
would do it. I'm telling you, my 3 moves, 3 minutes that I did on TikTok, a lot of PE teachers were using that during the lockdown. So I'm like, we taught PE to my kids when they were little, right down the school here. So that's my heart, right? We need to inspire the young people of the world. I want them to look at me and go, look at this guy. You know what I mean? And I get that effect from young kids.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. People see people being fit as being narcissistic and full of themselves. I might seem like that when I come across on Instagram or whatever. I know what I'm doing marketing wise. Like, you have to be polarizing. If you're not polarizing, you're not getting the views. But my intention with being polarizing is to get you to stop long enough. Then I say, listen, come to my masterclass. Listen, eat this way. Listen, do that. So, man, yeah, we got to do this again, bro. We got to do this again.
All right, a couple of more. All right, you guys made it. You made it. Here's your reward, okay? Clark, how long have you been training at home? And I'm asking that specifically because some of your equipment choices, so a lot of old school bodybuilders, all they want is the stuff that matched whatever was at, oh, I remember I had this, I love that Nautilus pullover that I used over at such and such gym. and or I love that pec deck from such and such gym, so I want to get that exact piece. You have a mix of older pieces and then stuff from brands that are newer and even some brands that aren't around anymore. So like specifically you got like the booty sprout that you got your wife. All
Yep.
right. So as you're giving us the view right here, what influenced the choices you made?
First of all, whoever's going to send it to me to have me try it, that's one of the big things. So right here, this is Jacked Up Fitness. They sent me this, but when I saw the booty sprout, I actually reached out to them and said, hey, listen, we need to collaborate because this is a machine that everybody's using, but they weren't smart enough to reach out to me and have me do that. But this is a one of a kind.
Yeah.
One, my buddy Roger Bates that did Assault Fitness made this. And he's like, dude, I want to get rid of it. Do you want it? This gets used all the time. I love this thing. Then
I'm about to say like that Jacked Up Fitness, that's like your fourth power rack, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This one just came in yesterday.
Look at that. Okay.
I'm going to put my guy Gary on that today. Him back here. He's going to go on that. So that's next for him. Look what I got right here. Do you want to talk about, check this out. Like you guys are getting a podcast that nobody else gets.
Oh, wow. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah, this came up from the Hammer King.
Okay.
So,
dude, why were you not at Home Gym Con?
What's that?
Why were you not at Home Gym Con?
I didn't know it existed.
We're going to fix that.
Okay.
We're fixing that immediately. All right, but go ahead. Not right now, but we're going to fix that.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So I got all this stuff like the Smart Sled. A lot of companies will reach out to me and want me to collaborate with them to help them create products. I have stuff being made in China right now for my own brand that I see companies that do stuff pretty good, but there's another level of excellence that they could get to. Like we got the revolver right here. Yeah, you've seen me use this thing before.
Yep.
We got medicine balls from Zero. Like a buddy of mine, my attorney came yesterday to use the medicine balls. There's just great stuff. The long driveway to push the sled up. I get Wayne doing the kettlebells, the bullfrog, that thing right there. You know,
you
that
right?
Bro, I absolutely love that. So
but you helped develop the bullfrog.
Yep. I was the president of the company. You know, you got this, and there's just it's endless. The stuff that I have, you know, just and then back here, there's dumbbells back here, more bullfrogs, medicine balls. Backyard is a full-blown recovery center. I had to put this leg press over here because I'm running out of room.
Yeah.
This guy keeps telling me I need to expand my garage down to here, so he's trying to convince me to spend lots of money. Yeah, so I'm gonna double. I'm gonna start. You know, I'll be out in 2 minutes.
We see you working, young man. So people are shouting you out and they're saying, heck yeah, 2025, you need to be at Home Gym Con. Heck yeah. In fact, I always do a live show. So at Home Gym Con, essentially it's basically it's kind of like the Arnold, but it's for home gym equipment. So you get there and it's just like all over the place. All the home gym manufacturers are there, and you just it's one of the greatest. It's a good time. So heck
yeah, I don't know about it. I definitely want to go. So please get me.
I'll hook you with all the information. Next question is so you just showed some of the things that you've been a part of. What would you advise 20-year-old Clark Bartram? Let's say Clark Bartram is 20 years old now. You cloned yourself like that Will Smith movie. Yeah. And your clone wants to duplicate your accomplishments. What are some keys that you would tell him to do in today's environment if you wanted to have the best results as a influencer or just trying to make a living in a sort of a non-traditional way?
Fortunately, the 20-year-old version of me did what I'm going to tell 20-year-olds to do right now. Over-deliver. You always need to over-deliver. People have this expectation that because they look good and because they get a couple likes, you know, the environment is different than it was when me and Mike O'Hearn were coming up. He and I were fighting for space on a magazine cover. There was none of this. Right. We were like literally having to physically, to your point earlier, be in a location, do a thing. And that thing was showing up better than people expected you to show up, working harder and longer than you were being paid to work, and over delivering to whoever it was that was hiring you as a commodity, because that's all you are in this space. You are, if I go to Home Gym Con and I am representing a brand, I need to be there first, talk to every single person that comes through, show up or leave last, clean up the booth when I'm leaving, even if that's not what I'm hired to do. That's just who I am, because that's what my dad taught me. Son, if someone pays you 10, you give them 20 back in service. You understand me, boy? Yes, sir. That was my life. People don't do that these days because they think, oh, I look great, I got 1 million views or whatever it is, that they are owed something. Listen to me. No one owes you shit, period. End of story. So you owe whoever it is that hired you. So this is me talking to 20-year-old Clark, and I'm also talking to 60-year-old Clark. I owe this man my best. I owe you my best. I woke up this morning. I prepped myself for these. Even though I said no questions, that is me knowing that I want to be on the spot. I want to think fast. I want to be prepared. I got up early. I go through a mantra in my mind. I'm Clark Bartram. I'm the this, I'm that, I'm the other thing. So that way, when I hit your podcast, I'm not just rolling out of bed, getting the crust out of my eyes. I'm coming in hot, and I'm delivering from minute one to the end. And that's what 20-year-olds need to do in this space. If you want to have longevity, if you want to be known at 60 the same way you were or better than when you were 20. That's what I'm doing. I'm like literally living that life. And there are very, very few of the guys that I started with are doing it at the level that I'm doing it at. Michael Hearn might be one of them. Yeah. And he is one of them. But there aren't a lot of other ones. I promise you that. So,
yeah, I mean, longevity in the fitness game. That's why it was important to me to interview you, because longevity in the fitness game. My guy Vinny Galante, he's one of the few who's managed to, like, he was on covers back then, and he's still going strong. But it's really, people retire, they get whatever, the grind gets them, or they get. I mean, well, heck, some pass away because of what they did to get to where they want to be. Last two questions from me. Did anybody guess? You thought I didn't see it, but did anybody ever guess who the dog sticker is on your power rack?
Yes, someone did that day.
Somebody did. Okay, somebody guessed. Okay, yeah, because
I got a bunch more stickers there that I got to put on that thing. I'm not normally that guy, but this harkens back to my days as a kid. I used to collect stickers. So I got to go to put a bunch more on there. I just saw it, and you were like, yeah, guess the sticker, and I'll send you a prize. I was like, okay, nice. That's striker.
So where can people find you? We've been mentioning it a little bit, but I told you that there's I want to make sure that everybody can find you in the most efficient and effective ways that where you are. So where can people find you if they want to hire you?
I respond to all the DMs, and the check it like a man. If you want to donate, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask for that. Clark Bartram Systems is my website. Maximize Man takes you to my program where you fill out an application. And then you're going to love this. I just launched a new website. It's called ArmyNavySupply.com. Brother, you need to go check it out today. I've got some stuff on there that you're going to go, wow. I have access to items that most people don't have access to, because I've modeled for one of the biggest importers of this stuff, these surplus and military items from all around the world. I got Dutch, I got Belgium, I got Norwegian, I got American, I've got all of these different things. And I just put a backpack on this site yesterday, knocked $100 off of it, but it's ArmyNavySupply.com. I'm really excited about that. And I'm only sharing it because I know some people on here are going to, get one of the backpacks. Like when we travel, right? Just having a backpack that fits up above the storage. So yeah, anyway, those are all the ways. But look, I want to connect with people. I love helping people as much as I can. Of course, there comes a point where I have to charge for my coaching. But if you have a simple question, especially if it's about prostate issues or any of that, hit me up, man. We'll get on the phone. We'll talk about it. And we'll make sure that I give you all of the information that I've learned about this. And it's a lot. And to help steer you in the right direction. Because if you're diagnosed with something like this, it's scary. It's confusing. You're going to hit with the fire hydrant of information from from caring people who don't know any better. They're just trying to share with you what they heard from somebody else. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, man, I took way too much of your time. I'm going to send you a banner. I'll email you or email me, whatever. Just send me your address. I'm going to send you a Garage Gym Life banner. because I really do appreciate your time, man. Go ahead and I'll let you go and take care of your clients, but we're going to do this again, man. I really appreciate your time, Clark. Thank you so much. This has been
Appreciate
fun.
you, John. Thanks, bro. See you.
All right, man. Later.
Bye, everybody.
All right, so that was a very, very fun, extremely fun interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I like doing stuff. You guys know that I like doing stuff that's a little bit different than what you're going to get from most home gym channels. And I love also spotlighting people who are in the home gym community who don't necessarily get recognized as being part of the home gym community. I still want to interview Mark Wahlberg. One day I want to interview The Rock. You know, for me, those are because I think that we need to learn from the examples of other people who have walked the walk that we're trying to walk. You know what I'm saying? And don't let anybody tell you that you can't have this or that result because you train at home, because you just saw Clark. He's doing it. He's doing it right now. The dude is over 60 years old, and y'all saw how fired up he was. So next week, let me give you guys a quick rundown for what's happening next week. We are going to have another cool show. We got Ben from Gym Pen. He's going to be joining us. And then, hold up. Let's get rid of this right here. Boom. All right. So yeah, go ahead, subscribe to Clark. I got the links for everything in the description for the video. But next week, we're going to have Ben from Gym Pen. He's going to be joining us, and it's going to be a really cool show. I'm really excited to have him on because quite simply, he's I've done some product reviews of Gym Pen products, but I also just like how they've been carrying themselves in the home gym community specifically and fitness equipment community as a whole. So I'm excited to have Ben from Gym Pen on with me next week. I'm also going to have Travis Vincent. You guys haven't heard about him, so it's my job to let you know about him. Travis is an installer. He installs home gym equipment. He actually installed my Ergata water rower here in the house. And so we started talking, and I said, dude, I got to have you come on my show. So Travis is going to be coming on next week. First, it'll be Ben from Gym Pen. Then we're going to have Travis come on. And then my final guest next week is going to be Ashton from Freedom Fitness Equipment. And Ashton and I are going to have an announcement. I know some of you guys have probably already guessed what the announcement is, but we've been working on a project together, and I'm really excited about it. So you guys make sure that you are here next week. You know the time. We start at 6 a.m. Eastern time, and we keep on going until we've said good morning to everybody. So I'm going to close by saying good morning to the West Coast. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you guys for all of your support for my show. So many people told me that this was a dumb idea, that this was crazy, that it would never work. And every one of you who watches my show is proof positive that people want this sort of content on YouTube. And I am working to make it available in other places other than YouTube. I just need to know that the interest is there. So if I know that the interest is there, I'm going to go ahead. Yes, I want to make it a podcast and everything else so that you guys can just listen on demand. So I'm not opposed to that. We're working. Just stay with me. Keep on sharing the videos. Keep on sharing the channel. Keep on liking. Keep on subscribing, because I quite frankly, I can't do this without you guys. All right. Thank you so much for everything. And I hope you guys have an out.